If anybody's been quick enough to join already, excuse me while I finish setting up. If anybody's been quick enough to join already. See, I'm talking to myself. Okay, we're showing as one watching, but I'm pretty sure that's me. So we'll stay around for a little while and see if anybody turns up. And if not, we'll pack it in for the day. Hello, Sonia. How are we, dear? Yes, a sign of madness. That's right. But when I start to answer myself back, we know that all hope is lost. I was just checking on Facebook and nobody was there, which doesn't really worry me too much. If they don't turn up, they don't turn up. I noticed that a few of the other regular names, or the also-rans, what do you want to call them, have, since I've started on this time slot, they've moved into it. So that's a bit of an issue. And now I've got a visitor at the door. Excuse me. Oh, kids can't live with them, and the government outlaws petercide. Oh, Val's been doing around this time. She actually starts an hour ago, and technically, she runs for an hour. Always goes a bit over time. That's not a problem. Val's good. She and I have chatted over this, and she doesn't mind me popping on at this time, and she doesn't bother me. No, I've noticed there's just a few of the others. I'm not going to go mentioning names because I don't really mind. I don't own YouTube, and I don't own people's attention. So that's not the worry. As a matter of fact, I really don't know how long I'm going to continue with the live streaming. I've already pretty well decided to drop the Thursday my time, Wednesday everybody else's time broadcast, and I may end up dropping this one as well. It's not something that I'm driven to do, and there are plenty of people out there doing it. So, and I'm really not sure at this point that I'm offering anything unusual. I have at least 5 or 6 videos of footage sitting there that I need to mix together into YouTube videos, and I can quite happily spend the time I do. Why is that? I just don't really, I'm not driven to do it, Sonia. That doesn't bother me. I started doing it because there wasn't too many Australians doing it, and I got a little bit of encouragement. But since I've started, there's another five or six people, in our immediate group who are doing it regularly now. There can only be so many streams that I haven't made any effort to become incredibly popular. It doesn't bother me. I was just offering a big conference call, a chat channel. So they're happy elsewhere, and I can use the time to make YouTube videos or other things. Maybe fly a little bit. I've got to sort out some issues with my drone. I don't know if you've ever seen an Inspire, Sonia. This is the one I was flying on the weekend. I'll drag it out of its case here, and that's an Inspire without the camera or the battery fitted. It gets even bigger with those in there. That's a beast. That gets attention when you start flying that. They're capable of 60 miles an hour, and they really make a splash. I was flying that one down at the SE Rescue on the weekend, and they perked up their ears. They want me to. It's a beast. That's the biggest of the 9 I have, and with 3 batteries are $1,000 for that. I bought it on sellout, but they were bringing about $4,000 without accessories. Only a very short time before I bought it, and it's only had 4 batteries of flight in it. I don't fly it often, but Leanne bought me a couple of batteries last week, so I thought, I better go and fly it. And I went down to a place near me on the ocean called Jacob's Well, and they have VMR, which is Volunteer Marine Rescue down there. I used to volunteer for them as a radio operator. And, I went up into the control room and told them who I was and told them I was going to be flying the drone around the area. And they said, you can take off from our boat ramps if you want, keep you away from the public. So I said, yes, thank you. With that one, I don't want the public getting too close. It could conceivably kill you. You'd be unlucky, but it could happen. And so I was flying there, and they came down, the Commodore of the squadron, and I said, I can do some filming for you if you want. Well, they had my number and my name written down and everything. I said, we could take you out in the boat and you could film our training exercises. I said, yeah, I could do that for you. I didn't tell them that I've got Master Mariner's ticket and Maritime Radio Operator certificate, because there's nobody there now who I remember from when I used to volunteer there. But I left for the usual reason and things like that, personality, politics. Yeah, look, I don't mind. That's a pretty worthy cause to spend a bit of time volunteering with. There's the two. There's Surf Lifesaving, and they're starting to use drones a lot out here for shark spotting, and then volunteer, but they only run in the warmer months. And but VMR, Volunteer Marine Rescue, they run the boats that do the rescues on the bar. I know that you have a similar thing in Britain. I can't think of what they're called, the little unsinkable boats that do the lifeguard duties on the coastal bars. That's what VMR are out here. So I wouldn't mind. So let me see. It's about 1 a.m. I think, or 1:15 your time, Sonia. You're up late. I suppose you've been misbehaving as usual. I'm one to talk. There we go. And it looks like we have another one who's joined us in the stream. So very good day, evening, morning, whatever it is to you, wherever you are. You're welcome in. So, yeah, that's been my weekend. Saturday, I was out with Dan. Yeah, that's right. I know you. You're just always a naughty girl. But never mind. We all love you that way. And no one wants you to change. That's it. You're always making Claude laugh. And I have quite a snigger as well. But yeah, Saturday was with Dad. He enjoyed that. He's been asking to see that fly for a while. He's never seen the Inspire fly. So we took him with us. And then yesterday, I got up a little late, which was good for me. And I've still got work going on, IT work, but I've just I've broken the back of it, all the important stuff, and I can nibble away at the last bits at my own pace. So that was good. And I took my foster daughter up to see her grandfather at the care home. He's quite a nice gentleman. He's nearly 87 now, but still very, very switched on. and we stayed up there until it was starting to get on dark, which isn't that late here at this time of the year, about 5 p.m. And came home. Oh yeah, Dad did enjoy it. I tried to get him to fly it. I've been trying to get Dad to fly one of the drones for a long time, but he's got this opinion that because he's 80, that he can't fly. You and I both know, love, it's not that hard to fly them. Maybe to fly them to a commercial standard might be harder, but just to fly one isn't that hard. I'll get him to fly, don't you worry. And I actually downloaded the footage of the girls learning to fly off the drones on the weekend too. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'll see what's there. I'll use it to embarrass Luna. I'll put not that it will embarrass her too much. She came to the door just a minute ago. That was her with sleepy eyes and still in her dressing gown. I told her she was welcome to come in, but perhaps she should get dressed first. And we've had another one join the stream to have a watch. Good day to you, whoever it is. I hope you're well. It's a lovely, sunny but cool day. And today, is it up? Not sure what you mean there, love. Oh yeah, she's gone off to get dressed. I told her she could come in, but she probably should get dressed. I pointed out that the majority of the male viewers are my age or better, and she might trigger a heart attack or something. So that's it. My Lord, the sun's coming in through that window and behind the computer. I look blonde here. It hides my grey hair. I like that. I'll have to make sure I always stream at this time of the day. And as I was saying, it's a beautiful day outside. Absolutely blue skies. And I'm not sure how hot it is. Hang on, I'll ask Mr. Google. Okay, Google, what's the temperature?
The present temperature in Kingston is 16 degrees.
Okay, 16 degrees Celsius. So it's a bit chilly by our stands. Hello, Claude. Good to see you, mate. I will...
Peter's coming in.
Oh, sorry?
Peter's coming in.
Yeah, Peter can come in. I'll just stick a link in there for anybody who wants to join in. And Peter is my landlord. He's up from the southern states having a look at the property. So I might just, I don't know whether you were in there a little while ago, Claude, to see. I was just showing Sonia what I was flying on the weekend, which you of course would know what it is, but Sonia's never seen one before. For once, it's not under the all of the stuff behind me. So I've now flown that for a total of a whole 4 batteries since it was new. Must be one of the lowest hours Inspire ones out there. I do have an issue, however, that the footage is the horizon is slanted by about 20 degrees. I've done a little bit of reading on it. There's obviously got to be a fix somewhere. It's brand new, so I doubt it's faulty. But with the batteries aren't small, Sonia. Dear, I'll pull one out. That's the battery. They're a fair-sized battery, and that's good for, well, according to the paperwork, 20 minutes, but in reality, closer to 15. The whole business put together, I think, in the order of about 3.5 kilos. I'd have to look it up. So 7 to 10 pounds, that sort of area. It is a heavy drone, and the props are, I think, they're a good foot across, and they're carbon fiber. So I've seen a few pictures of some nasty injuries done with them. I wouldn't want to stick my hand in it. That's my landlord adjusting the bathroom. He comes from the Australian School of Conservation and Management, which is if it moves, you shoot it. If it grows, you paint it. Sorry. Oh, come on in. I'll mute the microphone, guys. Excuse me for a minute. Okay, please excuse me for that, guys. What do you do when the landlord comes in and wants to talk to you? Yo, get out. You're only in the place. Tom, hello, my friend. How are you? Good to see you. And Claude's in here. He's just watching at the moment. And who have I missed? It's just the I've got 4 watching now, so that'd be Sonia and Claude and Tom and maybe me. I think it counts me. I'm not sure. There we go. I can't bother researching Hangouts too much because it's not going to be with us for a long time. So, and I haven't bothered looking into the alternatives. I'm hoping to just. I'm hoping to finish the IT work. I've got some of the servers online. F-file server, etc., are all going, and they'll be accessible to the people in the community when I'm finished. Claude is commando. Well, it didn't stop old Les, mate. So, and Tom, I'm not bad, mate. Little cough, which I'm going to do now, but compared to how I was, really well. I was just saying to Sonia before you guys arrived, I went out on Saturday, which is day before yesterday, my time. And I took Dad with me, went down, ended up at a place called Jacob's Well, which is about 15 miles north of the Gold Coast there. And it's a bit of a boaty haven. And they have volunteer marine rescue there. And the tower and their boat ramps and all the rescue vessels. I used to be a volunteer there. And I went up, and I always inform volunteer marine rescue when I'm flying near the coast. There's towers all up and down. I just go in there, or I ring them up and leave them my phone number so that if they have a rescue and have to call in the helis, I can land the drone. And I went in there, and they said, "Oh yeah, look, that's fine. Would you like to use our boat ramp to take off from?" So I did. And the Commodore and the head of operations came down and looked over my shoulders. Some of the big Coast Guard and volunteer marine rescue and those mobs, lifesavers, do have their own drones, but they don't have them down there. And I said, "Oh, well, if I can help you out." Well, next minute, they had a piece of paper out, and they got my name and my number and everything else. They want me to go out to sea with them and film their rescue operations, their training operations from the boats, which I don't mind. That's going to be a challenge, landing on and off the boats, but that should be good. And Spud has just joined us. She's in the other seat. She's waving at everybody. She still looks half asleep. You still half asleep, are you, darling? Okay, that's not a problem. Tom is having internet issues. Your provider had big problems about a week ago all over Europe, and it's been on and off all day. Yep. If you disappear, I will know why, Tom. That's always a problem. I've had a very good run with my provider. It's been 2 or 3 years since I've had any sort of serious outage, but I have had periods where they've been up and down like a lady of ill repute's breeches. So it's it's something I can identify with. So it looks like it may be a fairly quiet morning today. I know Val is still going, which is all good. I mean, Val was streaming before I started in this time slot. Well, she starts an hour before. But I do notice over the last few weeks that 2 or 3 others of the regulars have started streaming at this time. So, I don't mind. But, yeah, that's it. You've been with yours for quite a while. I'm not sure who your provider is. I probably wouldn't know who they were, Tom. But that's it. You've got to take the good with the bad. I haven't changed my provider now in, it's over 10 years. However, in the early days, I did some development work for them, help them develop new processes. The games house that I used to own, Oceanic Gamers Network, was bought out by the ISP that I'm with now eventually, and it's now part of their in-house gaming network, 3FL, which is, I think, it's one of the biggest in the Southern Hemisphere still. Oh, you with Vodafone? Yeah, we have Vodafone out here. They're not a big internet provider out here, Tom, but they're I think they're the 3rd biggest telco out here as far as mobile phones. It's a lot of people. I was with them for some years, but out here the national carrier Telstra, which was what was Telecom. They pretty well have a stranglehold. They have the biggest network, and they get to decide. who gets access to their towers. They own most of the actual hardware, the sites and the towers. And although the regulator, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, or whatever the blazes it is, the watchdog, they bring out new laws every 6 months to try and force Telstra to make an even playing field. It never seems to work out that way in practice. Nothing like a good old-fashioned monopoly. That's all right, Claude. I'm not at all upset. I've already decided to drop the Thursday my time, which is Wednesday your side broadcast. Look, I can remember when you first started doing your own thing a few months back, and I came with you. Hang on, I'm going to sneeze here any second. Oh, thank you, darling. There wasn't so many, there was you and Drone Hub and Val, and then I started doing a couple to fill in the gap. But since then, there's been quite a few more come in, and I honestly don't mind. I was saying to Sonia, I don't know how many, certainly more than 5 or 6 videos in partial stages ready to go up, and I'm not finding time to do them between IT work and being sick and this sort of thing. And really, I would not be at all upset to stop live streaming and just concentrate on making videos, and it would give me more time to log into other people's streams. I don't have any ambition, that's the word. I don't have any ambition to become a powerhouse live streamer. I just get to chat with the friends. Look, and I don't need to tell you, Claude, what suits you today, what suits me today, may not be what I want to do in 6 months. Really, to be honest, let me check on the date today. We're only 7 days away, a week away from the new licensing registration regime coming into force here in Australia. And I'll be expected to pony up another $1,200 to $1,400 next Monday for registration of my aircraft. And I haven't yet made a decision on which way I'm going to go, whether it's going to be financially viable to continue operating, because I'm like you, Claude, I'm semi-retired. And I've got to ask myself, I really, after investing 20,000 or so and certainly not making any money, do I want to continue? And the answer as far as making money is, of course not. I'm never going to make any money at this fee structure. However, there's still my original intention, which was to give an employment angle for the kids as they come out of school. So, I've got to decide where I want to go. If I decide to stop operating, I may stay registered but stop doing commercial operations. That would give me more time to spend here on YouTube. It would become more of a hobby from my side. Anyway, decisions. We'll see what happens. And I've got emails coming through. And we've had another one join as a watcher in the stream. And whoever you are, welcome to the stream. Feel free to pop in the chat and say how do. So yeah, I don't know, Claude. I'm like you. I think I'm starting to slow down a little bit. All these grey hairs, they must be slowing me down. That's what it is. It could be my kids as well. We all know, what a pain Luna is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to survive. That's all right.
Oh, no, I'm just being civil about it now because they're on live stream.
Oh, she's being civil about it now. Well, think, if you killed me on live stream, think how many subs we'd get.
Think how many arrests I'd get. No evidence.
No evidence. I'm going to start carrying my phone around on me live streaming at all times.
I'll live stream in the shower.
Yeah, I'll live stream in the shower. I'll have the little bits blurred out.
You still get in trouble. I don't know, you wouldn't dare take your phone in the shower.
No, but I'll take yours in the shower. Uh-huh.
I'll hide it.
You'll hide it. I'll find it.
I'll hide it in an edge-proof compartment that you won't find in one of the other kids.
I'll find it. You've never been able to hide anything from me yet?
Pregnant.
You're pregnant? Yeah, I wish. Great. I get grandkids before I die. What do you reckon to that, Auntie Sonia? I'm going to be a grandfather, apparently.
I wish.
Yeah, exactly. She wishes.
I'm heading to I have that appointment tomorrow.
With her, yes, I know.
And then another one 2 days later with the respiratory. So
Okay. Look, why don't you just move to hospital? Hang on a second. Tom says, how are you? And he hopes you're keeping well.
Hi, Tom.
Yeah, she's not in the best frame of morning. She's got, and Sonia says, yay, bubbies.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cage, come home.
No. Hang on a second. Yes, so look, I hope I live long enough to have grandkids, but for my family's sake, not yet. I think a few more years.
No.
Oh, you're gonna have kids at 17 now. Yeah, that's gonna be good. All right. I think I'm moving to Perth in Scotland. Yeah.
I'll come with you.
No, you're not coming with me. You can stay here and plan your kidnapping of Mikey.
Okay.
Have you spoken to him lately?
No.
No. Oh, well, you should get up earlier. He streams every morning from his treadmill.
Oh,
Look for a stream that says something like "Depression can't hit a moving target."
yeah.
Depression can't hit a moving target, but I can. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. So on Saturday, I enjoyed that. I don't know. I was laughing with my dad. I know, and I'm sure Claude knows. A lot of people, a lot of operators will not fly over water. And it seems like I've maidened or sorted out every single aircraft I have over water. Lucky so far. Sonia, she tells her kids, if you don't want to carry it, cover it. Yeah, okay.
You just jinxed yourself.
I'm sorry, darling?
You just jinxed yourself.
Oh, I don't believe in jinxing myself. I know for a fact that one of these days I'm going to lose one. And if I fly over water for the majority of my flights, I'm going to lose one in water. That's life. So, I've got a few over here. Although, yeah, as I said, was saying to everybody here, if I roll back, I don't see myself keeping 9 aircraft. I'll probably keep my 2 Phantoms and perhaps the Mavic 2. That'll be it.
I'll buy the Spark.
You'll buy the Spark.
No, I'll buy the Inspire.
The Inspire, yeah. Look, the Inspire is not the easiest to fly. You need to remember that it is the previous generation to most of the aircraft I have.
No.
It doesn't hold height as easily, and you could very easily ditch it.
No.
And it's quite quick. We've just had another 4 rapport person. It's called Faith. That's it. Oh, hello, Mike. How are you? Yes. Hello,
Mike?
Faith. This is Faith. She's the niece of my usual co-pilot. I've got the 3 generations, and yes, before anybody asks, they're all white. Say hello, Faith. You're an internet subs star, eh?
Which Mike?
She's the youngest of our brood.
Which Mike is it?
Sorry?
Which Mike is it?
Which
Mike.
Mike? This one here.
You said hello, Mike.
Oh, Night Train. Night Train, Mike.
It's not good enough. It's not the right mic. Oh, jeez. Help! Have a cat on me.
That's it. She knows when she's comfortable. Good girl. You just stay right there. Good girl. Right, off you go.
Get off.
No, not. She'll get off one of my drones. You just walk. You just hobble away with her.
You're not much cooler.
You're much cooler.
Lies.
All right. No one could be cooler than Philly Mike as far as my daughter is concerned. There we go. So yeah, it's pros. Yeah, Philly's okay. Yeah, that's it. That's all right. I like the fact that my daughter fangirls over him because then I can make ominous threats in Mike's direction, and he doesn't know whether I'm serious or not. He's all right. You got to be keen to live stream from a treadmill, in my opinion. There we go. So it's I don't know whether Val's still going or whatnot, but it's a fairly quiet morning. As I said earlier to Claude, I didn't stream on Thursday, and I'm probably not going to. And we'll see how we go with this. I've been burning the candle at both ends quite heavily as far as the drone business goes. Claude and some of the others realised it before I did, and even within drones themselves, there is just too much to do. If you're flying and streaming and making videos and joining other people's streams, the hours of the day soon wear out or pass out. So there we go. Tom has, yes, Tom has said something, so his internet hasn't dropped out yet. So yes, that was my weekend, flying on Saturday and taking one of my fosters to see her family on Sunday. Nothing's new there. And then my foster daughter's boyfriend flies up from Victoria in about 9 days to stay with us for a week or two. There's a long distance love affair for a teenager for you. So that will be, you guys may not see me too much during that time. I may be being chaperoned. Yeah, Mike, actually the weekends are my busiest time. I have more time for myself during the week normally. It's 20 to 11 in Monday morning my time, and this is when it starts to get sane. The kids, all bar Luna, have gone to school. It's all quiet here, and this is where I normally get a bit of time. I've been doing quite a bit of IT work the last well, it was only supposed to go for a week, but it's heading closer to 2 now, and I've got more in front of me yet. I've got to go down and buy some more server hard drives after I finish streaming today and bring up the third machine. And somehow it was originally going to be 3 machines, and now it's 5. Yeah, yes, right, residential painting during the week. That sounds like a bit too much like hard work. No, I'm only kidding. So yeah, the weeks are good. I mean, until I started flying drones, I've been effectively retired for over 10 years. So I got quite used to having my time to do with as I please. But the time flies now. I've got a lot more to do than I used to. I'm not quite sure at my age if that's a good thing or not. There you go. Philly's online. I better go and tell my family. Just hang on. She's coming. This will be good.
Yeah.
The love of your life just came online. You better go get your tablet. Bye. Close the door, please. Now I know that I'll have peace at least for 20. As long as Mike's batteries last, I'll have peace. Remind me to send him another 15 or 20 batteries. There we go. Yeah, that's it. I just did, Claude. She knows. She's off to grab her tablet and join him. Oh, Mark, how are you, my friend? I'm not so bad. I'm definitely a little cough left, but that is it. I'm well and truly. I don't, the best I've been in a couple of months. Went out on Saturday, and as I've been showing a couple of the people, I was flying the lightweight machine on the weekend, which I enjoyed. A couple of camera issues I've got to sort out. The footage, the horizon's got a inclination on it, which I've got to get to the bottom of. I will do that later. I did a bit of a web search before on the subject. I never realised there were so many ways to sort the problem. But I'll have a play with them later. I haven't flown. I've had the Inspire a while, and I haven't flown it much. And I have to say, it was an education. I had forgotten. It's a little obsolete, the old Inspire, really. And I have other smaller drones that are have longer battery life and easier to maneuver and better cameras, but none of them quite have that presence in the air. I was flying off the boat ramp of Volunteer Marine Rescue at Jacobs Well with their kind permission, so I didn't have to be near the crowds. And it's a 3-story high structure with a big radio mast on the top. I've taken some footage. I'll get it up. And I took off, and I quietly laughed to myself because I punched it off the ground and got away. Seagulls, I'm always worried about hitting a seabird. So I punch up and go, and I heard, vroom, off she went, and I heard, holy shit, from upstairs in the control room. So, it's not just me that it impresses. I like flying it, but it's an expensive toy. I don't know how much use it's got. Yes, Tom, the Inspire 1 is marginally smaller than an Inspire 2. I think by a factor of 3 inches diagonally. Yeah, look, I don't know, Mike, whether I would call the Inspire heavy equipment, but compared to the stuff we are flying, it certainly is, and it flies. It's last generations. The Inspire, even though that's an Inspire 1 version 2, the last of them, it was a contemporary of the Phantom 3 series. Still flies on light bridge, which when you're out over the water, you get just as good a range as. Oh God, the name's gone out of my head now. But the current encapsulation technique that DJI are using, it's just as good, but it does not have any collision sensors, front, rear, or sides, and it doesn't hold position as smoothly as the others, and you punch it forward and it'll lose a few meters in height before it steadies. You've got to be aware of OcuSync. Thanks, Tom. It's a different kettle of fish to fly. You can tell it's an older generation. I actually enjoy it more, to be honest. I find the modern drones to be a little bit sterile, probably because I spent 30 years flying RC. So I was used to doing it all for myself. And the modern drones, as we all know, are very, very self-sufficient, let's say. They maintain height, position, heading. And I said this to the guy. I also flew the Mavic Air there yesterday, and I flew that first, and the Commodore of the squadron came down. I brought it in for landing. He came down and said, "Gee, that was a good landing." I said, "Well, thank you, but the truth of it is I could drop dead and it would come back itself and do as good a landing." I see, Mike, the dozers. Yeah, Mark, I should say. Yeah, look, I haven't done much flying around earth-moving equipment. I've flown around pretty much everything else. By the way, there's a link in chat there. I still haven't sorted out this email business, and I should. I'm a lazy SOB, but no, not really. I'm just too many irons in the fire currently. I've flown around, aircraft, and the interesting place, one of the more interesting places I've flown was one of Canadian Solar's farms up at Oakey, which is inside the military aviation area there, and only about, I think, 700 meters as the crow flies from the tarmac. So you're flying around there, and you treated to the attack helicopters and so forth cruising past. However, they're very, very good because it's not my contract. I know a fellow who has the contract, but I've gone out with him, and you just call up the tower there, and they say, okay, we generally arrive at 9, and they shut the entire base down for 3 hours so that we can fly that job. They're much easier to get on with than the civil aviation. You're about to pass out. I hear that, Mike. I came back on Saturday from flying, and of course, standing in the sun doesn't help. I was utterly shattered, and you've got to work tomorrow. I don't call teaching kids work, mate. That's torture. And I call a spade a spade. And Mike, these last structure they were building, lots of steel. Yes, that's another thing that I always find a little bit of a pain around construction sites, is finding a place free of metal, underground metal, to calibrate anything. I really hate that. You calibrate it all and put it on the ground, and all of a sudden you've got IMU. Oh, torturing kids is fun. All right, well, why not? We were tortured when we were at school, and I feel that some things should be made a tradition. Tradition, yeah. I find it really annoying to be trying to calibrate my IMU and compass and so forth repeatedly. You get it done, and then you move the aircraft 10 feet, and there's something else under the ground, and you won't let you take off. That's annoying. I have on occasion. I'm not a big fan of hand launching. As a guitarist who's already had a couple of close brushes with losing the ability to play, I don't like putting my hands near whirly cutty things. But I have on a couple of occasions had to resort to hand launching just to get away from the metal. Landing's all right. It's like flying from a car. I will land on a car, but I just don't like taking off from them. And of course, it always scares the blazes out of my brother because he will generally be sitting in the front seat, reading a book or drinking his ever ubiquitous chocolate milk. And, when I plonk the Mavic or something on the bonnet right in front of him, that generally makes him leap out of his seat. Haven't done it with the Inspire yet. I may have to do that. But I was mentioning, Mark, to some of the others, I used to volunteer for marine rescue down there, although none of the people I saw were around in my day. And they said to me, you could fly from the boat ramp, which was very nice. And the Commodore and the Director of Operations came down and they were looking over my shoulder. Some of the bigger marine rescue bases have their own drones. They don't. And I just quietly said to them, well, if you need some footage, that was as far as I got, mate. They had their pads out, taking my name and details. Oh, you could come out with us and film some of our training exercises. Yeah, I suppose I could. Could you land on a boat? Yeah, I suppose I could. Oh, Tim, how are you, my friend? So they've promised or threatened, whichever way you look at it, to ring me shortly. So it looks like I'm going to be back at sea or on the water for the first time in a long time. I'll have to send copies of the footage to Paul Murray, the Master of Maritime. That's it. And I wonder how that. There's a link up above you, Tim, and I'll put another one in. There we go. Wonder how you're going with your build. Every time I see you, you're always busy. There's the link. Every time I see you, you're always busy on that thing. Oh, and of course, everyone, I'm advertising the wonderful Rodney Bell, the master of merch, today. I told my wife, this is my streaming shirt to keep it clean. Keep it clean. That sounds a bit chauvinistic. I asked her, would she please make an effort to keep the cat fur off it? I should have put it that way. With 5 white cats, keeping your blacks black is a fairly intense thing to do. Oh, and old Bruce XJet has posted another video. I wonder if it'll be a rant. I'll have to look that up later. I haven't had as much time as I would like. Oh, Mark's off. Okay, mate. Take care, my friend. Get some sleep and give him hell tomorrow. And, of course, as I know that Claude is aware, and I'm pretty sure Tom is aware, and I was reminded again kindly by YouTube when I started the stream this morning, that Hangouts is going away soon. And there is an alternative, I know. I haven't even looked at it yet. I'm sure it'll work okay, but I don't know whether it has the ability to invite people in on the stream or not. But we'll see. Clean from food metals. We will see. And of course, there are several people looking at various solutions. You can stream directly from r.p.a.s, but again, you are limited to taking visitors onto your stream via Skype, as far as I can see. Zoom, a lot of the guys, Val is campaigning Zoom. I believe Roger's moving over to that shortly. That will be a worthwhile thing to look at. And there's other solutions out there. So I'm going to have to make time to have a look at all of those. And anything, Zoom appeals to me in that it's good as far as bandwidth goes. Once again, this morning I'm streaming off 4G, which is good. It works well, but I have limited data per month. Tim has not been able to do any work on the drone because of the job you got. You went and got a job, you mad, impulsive thing, you. Yeah, I wish. I would like to go back to work. Above and beyond. Hello, how are you, my friend? There is a link up above you, or I can post it in there for you again, Jim. I like your little chevron, your icon. Every time I see it, it sort of reminds me of Star Trek, live long and suffer, as us married people do say. But, I've been watching. What have I been watching? Speaking of Star Trek, I've been watching The Orville recently. A friend of mine put me on it. It's been out for a while, but it slipped past me somehow. I've been having quite a chuckle at that. It's obviously, I'm sure most of you have seen it. It's a blatant Star Trek ripoff, but in a much lighter vein. And of course, we have Star Trek Picard just starting us. I think it's on one of the proprietary TV networks. It might be Amazon's own or something like that. So that'll be interesting to see how that's going. So that's it. And we have 6 watching now. And I know who they are because I've been talking to them all. So that's all good. Yeah, so that has been my life. I've been quite well on the up and up for a week, 2 week to 10 days now, which is good. Been out and flown on the weekend. Took my old dad with me. I couldn't get him to fly, but I'm going to. I'm certainly going to get him to fly one of these days. And he wants to see them, so I figure he can have a go. I'll let everybody else have a go. He certainly would not be the old. My dad's, he's 80 in March, but he would not be the oldest person I have let have a go with my drones. I think 89 is the oldest person I've let fly, and they do quite well. I think our older citizens, what we lack in reflexes, they make up for in thinking ahead. So that's good. And of course, drones are quite forgiving. The kids, Luna's flown my drones now on a few occasions. She still wants to fly that Inspire. I know that Claude will have a comment to make about that. Yeah, hello, Jim. How are you, my friend?
What's up, Ari?
Yeah, well, as you heard, I'm quite well. How are you?
Can't complain, but man, I am going to complain. It's hotter than hell down here.
Yeah, and of course, it's by our standards. You guys would laugh, but it's cold. It was 7 degrees Celsius here last night. I swear I was getting frostbite.
You'll get a laugh at this, Ari. I was starting up a stream the other day because I was doing a morning sunrise, for Philly. Right. So I was unclear on one thing to do. So I hit up Rodney Bell on Hangouts because he was already there. So I just clicked on his name. Well, it wound up calling 10 people. And Mark from Centroid was one of them. And iSpike goes, "Did you know you called me?" I mean, literally called 10 people. I'll never do that again.
That happened to me on the other end of it once. I laughed because, as you know, I have a really weird sleep pattern. But I was actually asleep, which was unusual for me. It was about 4 a.m. in the morning, and my iPad burst into strident song beside me, scared the living hell out of Leanne. She just about leapt out of the bed, and I answered, and it was Mel 400 AGL. He had he'd called somebody, not me, but as you found out, apparently it rings everybody who was involved in the last call or that they were in, and I was one of them. So I laughed it off. It was only a mistake, and we all do it. But my wife, her nerves were a bit jangled, and all good, Tim. You just thank you for dropping in, and I do understand being tired is not fun. I used to push myself into the streams when I was tired. One of these days I'm going to start typing with my forehead in the middle of a stream, I think.
I heard Lloyd did that one time.
I didn't hear that, but I was ashamed that I wasn't there because I would have done what I usually do, which is taken a screenshot and mercilessly teased him with it forever.
I think, does anybody know? Tomas, were you there? Anyway, I heard that he had absolutely fallen down. I think he broke a tooth or something. I don't know. I just heard.
Oh, dear. Yeah, I have not caught up with Lloyd in, it must be going on a month now. He's rolled back his commitment on YouTube /Hangouts to look after Judy, which I fully understand. I've not spoken to the lady, but I do understand her health is very precarious and not getting any better. And he just does his own regular broadcast with Mel in the co-pilot, and as his co-pilot, and it seems to be at a time now that my sleep is returning to a semi-regular pattern. It seems to come up at a time when I'm not here.
Oh, see, Tim says that happened to him also. It was Mike that called him.
Yep, it's all right. Something like that is funny to me. I know that there are people who would get really annoyed about it, but I'm not one. If you're going to be upset about that, then don't keep a device beside your bed.
Well, that's true too, right?
Yeah.
But you don't realize it because only one name is highlighted.
Mm.
And you think you're clicking on that name.
Of course, that as we all get reminded currently, every time we start a stream, Hangouts will be leaving us between now and the end of the year. I know there is an alternative that Google is presenting us with. I missed a stream earlier on this morning where Claude was testing it out. I did look at a bit of the recorded footage for a few minutes before I started here. I don't know how well that's going to work. From the point of view, I don't know whether you can bring, you can form a panel and have people on. But so with Hangouts disappearing, perhaps being called up at 3 a.m. is going to become a thing of the past.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're trying to get away from the Hangouts app and go directly to Hangouts Meet right on the browser.
Something just triggered
Sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, Google, cancel.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tomas, I was out flying the other day. I just put up two new videos on construction around here. It's been crazy.
Were you flying for business or for pleasure?
I do both, but I take second videos and then I'll post them up for the people in the city that can see what's going on around them.
I always play it very conservative with footage that I've done on the job. I have not at this stage posted any as
No.
part of a video. There may come one where I'll say to the customer, "Do you mind if I do?" But most of them would be fairly dry. People are not going to get a lot of enjoyment out of a roof inspection, are they?
No, it is dry, yeah.
Anyway, I can't complain. You just joined. I was flying the Inspire for the first. I'd only put one battery through the Inspire before the weekend. I took it out for an hour's flying on the weekend and enjoyed that. But I have an issue where the horizon is slanted on my video, so I've got to sort that out.
And resetting the camera or camera calibration didn't fix it?
I did an on-the-ground calibration out there at the time, and it did not seem to resolve it, at least not fully. It might have improved it. However, I came home and did the obligatory web search, and I got about 9 different methods of adjusting it. So I've got a fair few things to try before I worry about there being a mechanical or a hardware issue. And I don't think there is, Jim, because even though it's Inspire 1 version 2, it was the last new one on the shelf here. I only bought it about 4 months ago. And
I love that bird, by the way. That's a very agile bird.
Look, I find it's sort of like flying a graceful bus. It's big and it's got a lot of presence, but in a straight line, it's a very fast bird. I was using it to chase jet skis and some boats on Saturday, and it's very well suited for that. Although there was one boat that came past in a 6-knot area, mind you, where the moorings is, and he went past, and I was unable. When I hit 60 miles an hour, he was pulling away at a great rate of knots. So I don't think I'll be doing that one.
Wow, in the 6-knot area?
Yeah, in a 6-knot in the mooring out here in an area where there's mooring or bathers in the water, you must reduce to 6 knots. And he was certainly not. I think it was about an 18-footer, and it would have had. It was a big outboard, 300 horse perhaps, and I think there might have been 3 inches of the boat in the water. The rest was on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
And look, there are kinds. It's like the normal police, the water police are never there when you need them.
No, we call those no wake areas, and we'll have a lot of them because we have manatees, and they rest just under the surface. They never really come out. They're very hard to film.
Well, funnily enough, in Moreton Bay, Brisbane is on Moreton Bay, and we have the largest population of dugong, which I suspect, from what I've seen, are manatee. You know, just in the southern hemisphere, they're almost identical. Sea cow, or whatever you want to call them. They feed on we have large beds of seagrasses in Moreton Bay, and they feed on there, and they're protected except for Aboriginal communities that live a traditional lifestyle are allowed to hunt them using traditional methods. But other than that, they're fully protected. But every year we get 2 or 3 strikes. People hit them with boats, and it's not unusual for the boat to sink. I'm sure it kills the dugong, but the boat doesn't come away looking too good.
What is with going to the beach up there? I saw Brad talking about we have plenty of tourists to test the water. Do you guys have problems with going out swimming?
Oh, look, we have a few problems. Brad's at Darwin. He does come from here.
Right.
Darwin is well and truly in saltwater crocodile territory.
Brad just came on. Hey, Brad, I was talking about you.
Hey, Brad, there you go. Yeah, Brad is well and truly in saltwater crocodile territory, and that's why we have such extensive tourism campaigns overseas, because we need to keep the crocodiles fed somehow. And they quickly let us know whether it's safe to go in the water. But no, seriously, you really look. I know this is sounding hypocritical, because I've been swimming up there and I've swum in the Adelaide River, which is a bad place for crocs. Let's just say that only the locals really swim, and they do it with a great deal of care. And then the other big deal is marine stingers, and you know, the rest of the world sort of say, well, it's a jellyfish. And to the greater or lesser degree, that is correct. But we have a couple of particularly nasty ones here. One is the box jellyfish, which is often fatal. And the other one is a little fellow called the irukandji. And the irukandji is about the size of your little fingernail. You can't see them in the water, and they kill you quite regularly. And here in southern Queensland, traditionally, we don't get crocodiles, we don't get the box jellyfish or the irukandji. However, there's been numerous sightings of crocodiles quite close to Brisbane, which the authorities are poo-pooing. They don't want you to think that, but they did some netting off the north of Fraser Island, which is the world's largest sand island, and it's at the northern end of Moreton Bay, in a straight line, perhaps 100 miles from me. And last summer they pulled about a dozen irukandji out of the water there. So they're definitely moving south with warming. Okay, I'm just checking here.
You see what he wrote?
Okay, Tim, you take care, my friend. Have some good sleep.
Yeah.
Brad will be at work. I don't even need to ask. I know that now. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they have the beer can regatta in Darwin next month. Now, I don't know what you think, but you've got to have fairly hefty gonads to take to the water on something made out of beer tins, where saltwater crocodiles go. Hey, back from the sky. Welcome there. Okay. Yep. Right. I've caught up with the chat. I'm terrible about that. I get distracted. I know that overseas Australia has this reputation as being fraught with dangerous animals. I suppose to some degree we have, but it's like anything else, you know. To us, it's normality. We don't see it that way. We laugh and we tease foreigners and the tourists, but we don't worry about it. I think it really sort of balances it out. We've got 8 out of the 10 world's deadliest snakes, and 9 of the 10 world's deadliest spiders.
But your country is admired and revered for its protection of wildlife. And for me, one of the greatest things that you guys do is save the whales by supporting things like Sea Shepherd and all that, and opposing the Japanese. I mean, they'll just wipe us out, man.
Well, that is good. The whales are doing well. They released figures, because we're in the middle of whale season now. They're going up and down the coast. They spotted Migaloo, the white whale, just about 150 miles south of me the day before yesterday, making his way up the coast. I think the figure was in 1957, 370 whales were spotted migrating up the coast, and this year it's been over 30,000. So we've done well, a bit, almost akin to the bison in America.
Right.
On the other side of it, the Koala Conservation Council announced earlier this year that technically, as far as science is concerned, the koala is operationally extinct. And what they mean by that is that there is not enough of them left in the wild to guarantee future generations. That doesn't mean it's the end of it. I mean, the bald eagle, the bison.
What is that? Is that the koala?
Yeah.
The bear?
Well, yeah, it's not a bear, but it's what everyone calls a koala bear. That's correct.
Right.
It's got a couple of issues. Clearing of native habitat, which is always an issue. But they did a survey earlier this year, and there's 141 gazetted koala sanctuaries in Australia. Where the habitat cannot be touched, but they could only find koalas in 40 of them. The rest are empty.
From what I've seen on TV, they only eat one kind of eucalyptus.
They eat about 9 kinds.
Okay.
But, we have, of course, I don't know exactly how many, but 40, 50 species. The biggest problem, Tom, is chlamydia. They're randy little buggers, and the population is being utterly devastated by chlamydia. And they've been fighting a battle against it for about 20 years now. And between that and habitat loss, it's a double whammy. And the only population, it can be cured, but it's impossible to bring everyone in from the wild and put them through an 8-month course of antibiotics. So currently the only populations that they have that are free of chlamydia are captive populations.
Well, you could dart them.
Yeah, they've got to be treated regularly for months and months and months to kill them. And yeah, that's it, mate. We should issue all koalas with condoms. I agree, Tom. They're starting to think that it's the same with the Tasmanian devil, but for a different reason. They're starting to think that the only hope they've got is we're going to have to protect our captive populations and allow the disease to run its course in the wild, which will probably result in them being extinct and then repopulate from our captive populations. The Tasmanian devils, they're dying out from what's called DFT, devil facial tumor disease. They have a virus in the population that causes fatal tumors. And regardless of what you've been watching on Warner Brothers, although they have one of the strongest bites in the world, Tasmanian devils are basically the garbage disposal of the bush. They feed primarily on carrion and carcasses. They rarely hunt. And they congregate in large numbers around dead bodies and eat them, and they bite each other. And they pass this tumor disease on, and they develop tumors on the face, and they die. And they're in a very bad state as well. So that's it. The koalas have been getting their salad tossed. Okay, fair enough. I'll let that one go by.
That's from back from what's that? Val's life.
Yeah.
She didn't know what that meant. Tossing your salad.
Val is so innocent, so naive sometimes, and I mean, somebody dared to mention to try and. Oh, no, I'm leaving it to go there. That's too much for me. But watching Val, the innocent look of wonderment on her face when people say things sometimes, it makes me so laugh. Val is very good. So you're on Sands without your ABS effects today, Jim?
Oh no, I'm on OBS.
Yeah, but no effects in your video screen.
No. It's just me. I don't need all that. Especially on the weekends, we have 110 internet service, and they keep building and building around here. So there's like double the amount of people using the same bandwidth, if you will, than before. I looked at it earlier today, and I had less than one up.
Sorry, I'm just reading a comment by Tom, which I'll get back. Yeah,
That's a
look,
long one.
the OBS, as you see, I use it, but I use it minimally. I put a few elements in there and I don't overload it. I have not had any time to personally look into the Hangout alternatives yet. I am thinking about paying for a small subscription of Zoom, but as I was saying to the people before you arrived, Jim, I'm not even sure yet whether I'm going to continue live streaming. So we'll see what happens.
I heard that was $50 a month. Is it?
No, 15.
Oh.
Val has the $15 subscription, and I think that's good for 100 people. You can have join, and that's not unusual. Obviously, Google are doing away with Hangouts because they want to introduce some sort of paid platform. After all, why just gouge us when they can utterly screw us? But if you can stream with OBS by itself, I don't have to tell you that. The problem is to bringing people in on the panel. The only way to do it with OBS is to
Skype.
That's right, and my bandwidth just won't handle that. Skype's not very bandwidth efficient. Zoom looks pretty good. If I have reached the point where I have to pay to stream and I continue streaming, I won't be paying Google. That's all I can say.
No, I agree.
Just excuse me for a second. I've just been flagged, which I better answer.
Is the Tasmanian tiger back, or is that bull? I
Okay.
watched a show on one the other night.
Just excuse. I will answer that in a second. I've got a couple I've got to answer here. That'll teach me. Oh my Lord.
Carlos says she needs to get off the rock. Oh, out from under the rock. But she's been living. Yeah, I don't know how. She doesn't know half these statements. Yeah, I reset the router. In fact, if you have problems, that's the first thing they always tell you to do. Did you do this? Did you unplug it for 30 seconds? But even on the wireless, you can change your channel. You can, through the app, you can see which are the busiest channels and go ahead and change to a channel that's not being used as much. But I looked it up. When you run the Google test, the Google speed test, that's run through MLabs, which is an off ISP server site. So that really is the best way to check.
Hospital. Okay. Why do I suddenly become popular? And what's the other one?
Yeah, I don't have an all-in-one. I've got a separate router and a separate modem. That way I have a gigabit speed router, and my modem is a tri-band.
You can all listen to me typing, can't you?
Yeah, well, that's a mechanical keyboard. You can't get away from that. So I have the 5 gigahertz antennas and then the 2.4 gigahertz antennas.
Okay, that's taking care of that one, I hope. Okay, and right, Tom, your questions on the Tasmanian tiger. Look, the Tasmanian tiger situation is a bit like Sasquatch and Yeti and all that sort of thing. The last confirmed example died in Sydney Zoo in 1933. I think it was 33. However, it's doubtless that they lived on past that point. They were native. Originally, they called the Tasmanian tiger the thylacine. They were originally native of the mainland, even up as far as I am here. They were hunted out as an alleged stock killer, which they weren't.
Are we talking real tigers like in the Sudan?
Tasmania, in the rough country. I'm sure they lived on past. I think it might have been 33 or 37. They lived on past that anyway. But whether we still get reported sightings. whether they're true or not. No one has captured any definitive footage. There's been the usual blurry, distant shots that you get with all semi-mythical creatures. Now, as far as resurrecting them, not done yet, but entirely possible. I would even go so far as to say probable. Because it became extinct so relatively recently in biological terms, less than a century ago, we have a number of very good sources of DNA. Problem is, old-fashioned methods of preservation in formaldehyde and this sort of thing tends to degrade DNA quite badly. But they had several thylacine fetuses and so forth that were preserved and sent to the various universities in Britain in the 1800s and early 1900s, and we have requested that they be sent back. So that's going to be happening.
This way, when you shut the modem down and turn the modem back on after about a 10 to 15, 30-second wait, when you turn the router back on, it's going to go ahead and select the best channel that it sees. You can actually change channels.
Go ahead, Jim.
Carlos, I don't know if you're in the apartments in the Bronx there, but you've got a lot of competition around you, man. With the same ISP servers and all that. So if you have an app to your router or to your modem, like I have an Asus router, I can actually go ahead and see which channels are the busiest and go to one that's not being, used so heavily and use that one.
Okay, I'm just making my way down the chat again. Next comment under Tom. Well, something, Carlos, I like Val just how she is. I deal with people from all walks of life, some very, very worldly, and she obviously has had a fairly protected upbringing in some ways, not in others. I know some of her personal story, and I think the world is served by diversity, or as they say, it takes all kinds, and she's fine. As far as resetting my router and modem, infrequently. I have commercial grade switching gear in here, very expensive, $1,000 modem router. It is a combination. As to whether you wish to split your modem and router depends upon your situation. The average person at home has a dynamic IP and a single IP, and they run on internals on the 192.168 range or one of those underneath 127.0.0. In that case, you are better served with an integral modem router. You're already behind what's called a separation of subnet. In other words, outside you have whatever IP your internet service provider allocates you, and that's one subnet you belong to. And then
they give you a spread of like 47 channels. That'll be your limit for how many items, like your phones, your tablets, and all that you can have on it.
Generally speaking, we get one, but you use what's called a port forwarding table. You have 64,556 ports. Think of it as your street address is your IP number, and you have just under 65,000 doors and windows, and different operations run on a different port. Web, as in HTTP runs on port 80.
Email, I don't have to do that, luckily.
Email runs a port 110 and port 25, that sort of thing. Now, most of that is handled by NAT in your router if you've got a single IP. However, if you want to run servers and this sort of thing, then you've got to port forward on a single IP. I do have the advantage of more than one IP, but not everybody does. I'm working on the lowest common denominator. So if you've only got one IP, it's a little bit more convenient. You've already got one separation of subnet. If you run a modem and then a router inside, you've got a double separation, which just makes it that much more complicated to get some functions to work. And then, you know, if you're like Jim and I, and you've got the use of more than one IP, then really it's whichever way you want to go.
I like having them separated. Like I was saying, I use a gigabit router, and then I keep, because it has its own RAM and all that other stuff, and then I keep my router, which is a tri-band router. I have that because sometimes if it's just the crap equipment, I'll keep it on 2.4 gigahertz. If it's something I need, like the TV is a 4K, I'll keep that on the 5.
I only use Wi-Fi for mobile devices. I hardwire all of the PCs and the media centers and everything. All run with cat cable. Welcome, Peter. Peter Carroll, how are you, mate? Yeah. If you want to stay, if you've only got a single external IP and you want a solid link, always port forward. Theoretically, most network address translators, most NATs will do that for you automatically, and they do most of the time, about 95% of the time, 98% of the time. But occasionally they get their knickers into a knot, and it won't work. And, you know, it's the usual story. Go around, turn everything off, wait 20 seconds, turn it back on again, and it will reestablish it away it goes. But at one point for a long time, I ran a complete point of presence here, which is email servers, name server, web server, FTP, the whole lot, miniature ISP, essentially. Now, I let that go a few years ago, but I'm in the process of reestablishing that now. And so that's why I have a commercial grade router. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent the money, but I needed full reliability. And at the time I originally started, you could only get a single IP at home. Australia is a lot more restrictive than what you can get in the US. Now I can.
You're getting upgraded, aren't you? Aren't you getting fiber to the box?
We have fiber to the node here.
Right.
So I'm reading what color. You can also buy your own modem routers. Oh, that's right. Well, actually, out here, the ISP will provide you generally, if you contract for 2 years, they'll provide you with a modem router free, because A, they probably charge us way more than they do you guys, and B, they, as far as their tech support goes, it's worth their while to have a standardization. If everyone's running, or as most people are running the same modem router, it's easy for them to give you support. I don't use their stuff because obviously they don't buy the primo gear, which I need, so I buy my own, and it also pays dividends in longevity as well. You get the cheaper ones, and generally they expire in a year or two, bad capacitors or heat and whatnot. If you buy a good one, then you really only have to upgrade when something new protocol or something comes along that isn't supported.
Right. Around here, when they give them to you, you're renting them every month. They're paying like $5 for each. So I immediately bought my own router and my own modem.
Carlos, I'm a telecommunications technician by trade, just to put that out there. That was my first trade. I would dispute that a separate modem router works better, period. To make that claim, a separate modem and router works better. A separate modem and router works better under some circumstances, and under others, it's more convenient to have one.
Also, from the one they provide, which is something you just said, upgrading to a gigabit router with more RAM, because you're running more stuff off of, they normally only give you 4 outputs.
That's right. I'll share my screen here.
You probably got network switches and all of that going, right?
Oh, I've got a 36 port, a 24 port, and an 18 port in the bedroom. Okay, I just shared my screen now. I'll bring up a new tab. Okay, now I'm going to use an internal IP to log into my router. I could use the external one if I wanted, but if I use the external one, you guys are going to see it. You know why I can't log into my router and show you? It's because I'm connected through 4G. Okay, guys, I was going to give you all a quick demonstration, but you can all forget about that. And I'll do it next time I'm connected through my internal internet. Sorry, I was going to show you my port forwarding table, but I can't do that. But it's very large. And so, as Jim was saying, if you're running it if you've got a very simple needs at home and you just use the provider's supplied equipment, it'll probably work okay for you. But I have in the house here, I haven't done a count in a long time, but in excess of 20 PCs and maybe 30 or 40 mobile devices. Then there's the obligatory games consoles, media servers that the kids all run. So I've got a big port forwarding table with perhaps 60, 70 entries. And to support that, you need more RAM inside the modem router. So if you would, even assuming that the one that they give you has a port forwarding table with that many slots, if you fill them up, it's going to fall over. So yeah, you go and spend big money on a good one and you get much better reliability.
Yeah, Peter was saying he just uses the one from the ISP.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
a lot of people can get away with that.
Yeah, exactly. It's what you need. I had to spend the money, and although I haven't needed it the last couple of years, when I closed down the point of presence, the equipment has continued to run because I bought good equipment, and it's still running there now. However, in the next year or so, I will probably upgrade it just for the simple longevity point of view. Perhaps the ones that your ISP provide aren't the best, Carlos. That I wouldn't be at all surprised. Let's face it, it's always a case, as far as big business is concerned, it's always a case of minimum outlay for the maximum return. If they can save $25 per modem router and, they give that to 10,000 people, it adds up to a lot of money that they're saving.
Yeah, I want to look up my. I know I bought the surfboard. I think it was the Motorola SB1384, whatever the heck.
I've had a lot to do with Motorola. My current stuff I'm using is all Billion equipment. I will probably move away from Billion next time. I haven't decided what. Only because Billion, at the time I bought this, they were the premier vendor of good switching equipment for small office in the country, but they've fallen off the peak in the last few years. So next time I'll go to something else.
And they're not cheap either. When I bought my router 2 years ago, something it was $300.
Oh yeah, I paid more than that for these, but they are cheaper now for what you get. Hello Gary, how are you, my friend? If you'd like to join us, feel free. I haven't seen Sonia or Night Train or any of the guys make a comment.
I don't know why Sonia was on Val's.
Oh, that's right. No, Sonia was here for a while, but it's if I get my timing right, it's heading on for about 2 or 3 in the morning for Sonia, so it wouldn't be at all surprising if she's gone off to sleep. And Claude's been quiet for a while. There she was asleep. There you go. Or she was here. I don't know. It was hard to tell. And I'm just reading. Anyway, I'll stick a link once again in there. I'm still doing this dangerous thing. If anyone wants to drop by. But yeah, look, good switching gear is one of those things. There are some things in life where you can economize, and other things it's false economy. And if you want reliability, then good switching gear is one of those things you really shouldn't. Are you in Val's life yet?
Yeah, see, mine is now, I'm looking at it on Amazon. It's still 150.
Mm-hmm. They've become cheaper, relatively cheaper. And what I mean is, when I bought the last lot, what you paid $600 for then, you would probably get for $350 now. Yeah. Technology becomes cheaper as time goes by, which is good. It's good for us. Just don't buy Huawei. And Art, hello, my friend. And I'll just, if you keep still, Art, you're moving up the stream. There you go. I'm going to throw a wrench at you. That Art, he's a slippery little customer when you try and pin him down.
Oh, my God. Something went wrong. My router here is $509 on Amazon. I didn't pay that.
Well, you did well then. That is the one advantage of using separate units. You can upgrade your modem should you have need, but you don't have to change your router, which is also good.
So
If you've
it's a 600 megabaud router.
Mhm.
It's the RT-AT87U. Are you familiar with that?
Not offhand, I'd have to go and look it up.
It's a MIMO DOSIS 3 type router. It can handle anything you throw at, but man, I didn't pay that. I
Yeah,
wouldn't pay that.
DOCSIS routers are good. The problem is, of course, too, you get into what's called intelligent switching gear. People are used to plug and play, plug it in and it works. When you get up towards the top end, even your switches are intelligent switches. And you get into the quality of service QoS and guaranteed bandwidth to this over that, etc., etc.
Well, that's the nice thing with you, especially you can turn your kid's service on or off or put time limits on it and all of that jazz.
I can do all of that anyway through software means, but
Right.
I got tired of doing IT, I have to admit. It's been a bit of a rude shock to start resurrecting servers and so forth the last couple of weeks, getting my head about it. Of course, so many of the software packages I used to use are now depreciated, or they're not suitable for one reason or another, so you've got to learn a new method. And the older you get, the slower you are to pick up new concepts. Good day, Trevor. How are you, my friend?
What do you recommend? What do you recommend for a home NAS for a media center server?
Okay, I don't use NASs. I use home servers, low power devices. Now, the ones I've got here are getting on a bit in the tooth.
The
And
Microsoft ones?
No, I use ASUS servers, mini servers at home. For a home person, for somebody who's not running high duty cycle, I would buy a small form factor Intel machine, i3 or i5, low power, something that runs on a plug pack, because I also think of it from your electricity bill side of thing. So, one of these little small form factor jobs,
Right.
a low power CPU. For if you're running server, whether you run Windows Server or Linux is your call, but I would definitely run server from the point of view of uptime. Load it with 4 to 8 gigs of RAM, your basic server, and then use a USB 3 hub. There's 480 megabytes of bandwidth there, and
No, it's more like 650 now, man.
You're talking about Wi-Fi or on USB 3?
No, the USB 3.
That's 3.1.
Oh, okay. Well, I have 3.1 then.
Yeah, and I don't buy pre-made external hard drives anymore because they're made to a cost, and I want them to.
Ari, I kept buying those my books. My granddaughter knocked it over. This is all it did.
Yep.
Dead.
I don't like that. There's 2 models of the My Book. One stands on its end like a book, and that's craziness. I've got some of them here, and I'm always worried about them being knocked over. They do make a model that lies flat. Makes a lot more sense. But what I do now is I buy Western Digital Red. Okay,
Yeah.
they're good for light server duties and good for NAS duties. They're only a 5,900 RPM. There is a Seagate equivalent, but it runs at 7,000 odd, and it's a little noisier, a little hotter, draws a bit more power. So I buy the Western Digital Reds, and I buy a high quality alloy holder.
A box.
Yeah,
Enclosure.
and put them in. Now, to put one of them together, to buy, say, a 4 terabyte Western Digital Red and a good quality alloy holder is around $210, $220. Whereas I can go and buy a Western Digital My Book for perhaps $100 or $80. But the one I put together will last a lot longer, and when it comes down to hello, Dennis. You finished work, I think, Dennis. I don't think you're working today, but anyway, I've already put it in there. There's a link for anyone who wants to pop in.
No, it's 9:30. He's done by now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think yesterday was his last day, or it might have been today. Keep getting confused because I talked to somebody in the US yesterday by my time, and then it's today, but it's still yesterday for you, sort of thing. So I get a bit confused, that sort of thing. But
You
yeah,
see what he said? That's taint an issue.
yeah. You got to push it, haven't you?
That's another word she don't know.
Well, that was the one I wasn't going to touch. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Sorry, didn't mean to start it.
No, I don't. Look, I have no problem. Okay, this is at the very least, an MA channel. You know, anybody who comes here needs to have a reasonably broad mind. I'm certainly not offended. If you know, I was going to say if Luna was in here, I might be a bit worried, but actually I wouldn't. She'd probably teach me things.
All right.
But there's no way you can live in this neck of the woods where I live without being educated by your schoolmates. There we go. So yes, yeah, I would rather build my own external drives. They have a much better longevity. I need to see how many we've got watching now. The curiosity, normally I don't care, but curiosity has gotten the better of me now.
I show 13. What do you show?
I'm just looking now. 12, I say. Well, mine said, but how do... Okay, not a problem. I just had a message from Curtis. Curtis, you know, for anybody who is...
he does some good work.
Yeah, if anybody who's looking at alternatives to Hangouts, Curtis is probably, of the people I know personally, he's the man most across the Zoom situation. So he's quite good. I'm just reading. That's... Oh, my daughter has reposted something that a person called Sleepy Panda put. I wonder who that might be. She's obviously being influenced by the wrong people. What do you think, Dennis? Yeah, I know, Dennis. Actually, you showed me Zoom before anybody else, or you called me into Zoom before anybody else. I still think perhaps it's the best alternative that I am currently aware of for streaming with Hangouts, but I'm yet to look at them all. So
there's a guy named Jim. He runs a show called Video Calling Show. All he uses is Zoom, and he's, you know, from what, a year ago, that's what he started using. Keeps it,
yeah,
and it's steady as a rock.
And I'm pretty sure that Greg Oz by Drone uses Zoom as well.
Wait, no, he's using Wirecast.
Oh, is he? Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's Dennis. As Dennis pointed out, Zoom is the only way that he can have a guest because, you know, he runs in the Apple ecosystem, and there's a few limitations there. No virtual cameras for a start. Oh, excuse me, everybody. So it's you know, he's got to choose carefully. It's either that or come back to the dark side and start using Windows, and we all know that Dennis will never do that.
And they don't have the ports, right, Dennis? Or Barry? I don't know anything about Apple besides I have an iPad mini to fly some units. I don't do Apple.
I used to do Apple. You know, I've got a couple of iMacs and so forth, 2 desktop iMacs and a couple of MacBooks and a MacBook Air and that sort of thing. But every single one of them runs Windows now. They don't run OS X of any sort. Yeah, hardware-wise, they're perfectly capable of doing anything. They're just Intel PCs now. The days that Apple run any proprietary hardware is long gone. But
really?
Yeah. They're just a PC. You can blow away OS X and load Windows on any Apple in the world. They're Intel PCs,
Wow.
but their operating system is set up in such a way it doesn't support virtual cameras and a few other things as well.
Yeah, that much I do know.
So,
I thought I heard that they didn't. I really don't know anything about them. That they didn't have any inputs like 3.1 or USB or something like that, or HDMI and all that noise.
oh no, they use their own proprietary ports, but you can get them. The Maharaja. Sorry, Trevor has joined us. Oh, now he's turned his camera off.
Yesterday, he put that mask on, the stocking on, and he put the gloves on, and he was all invisible.
G'day, Trev. How are you?
How you going?
You're
Hey,
looking
Trev.
very colourful.
Just taking my medication. Bear with me.
Okay, who wants to hear the sound of Trevor taking his medication? Here it is.
You could have done that.
Now here's the sound of Trevor taking his medication.
Not that sort of medication.
See, Trevor knew what that was straight away.
I've lived, but
Yeah,
a long time ago.
That's what I tell my kids whenever they think they're introducing me to some new and revolutionary thing. You know, I look at them and raise an eyebrow and say, "Really? I was a musician for 30 years. Really?"
I was never in the scene, but I have been around.
Oh yeah. I'm just reading here. Yeah, Tom, I am sure that there are, or not will be. I'm sure that there are plenty of other viable alternatives to Hangouts. I just haven't had the time to run my eyes over them yet. Tom can't see.
There are a couple. Can't see Trevor's green headphones. No, that's a joke because he has them so his headphones are cut out part of the green screen. But Tomas knows that.
Yeah, he does know that. Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that. That's quite cute.
See, anything green. This is a cup. Can you see that?
Of course not.
Of course we can't. Yeah.
Good on you, Ari.
It's a green cup. It's like the silver one, but it's green.
What? You mean a silver one like this one, which you can all see?
Yep.
I need to go and put something in that shortly.
But yeah, I'm going to be doing some videos. But I'm waiting for Nay's creation to be complete.
That'll never be complete. He's too much of a perfectionist.
He's done 20 sessions so far with me, and I've dozed and come alive, in many of these sessions.
I know what you mean, brother. I was on till 4:30 in the morning with him one night and 2:30 in the morning the next.
I've been on 6:30 in the morning every morning.
Oh God!
But
you've been directing.
I've just been having about 2 hours sleep, and then
But Trevor, you've been very demanding too.
No. That was only the first session. I was asking for things, but now I've just let him do his thing.
Oh, okay.
I've never asked him for anything. I just didn't want him to get off the wrong track because the first session, he even spelt my name as Maniac Magic.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, it's not my logo. And the thing is,
I'm going to leave you guys to chat for a minute. I'll grab a drink. I'll be back shortly.
He was going to go along a path that was going to be totally, which I had no input in. So I've just sort of guided him. Now he's gone on his own tangent, and it's coming along really well.
Yeah, I didn't see what you were first going for, but I knew you had told me that, you had wanted it changed in a different style and all that. Yeah, I saw him working on the butterflies and all that.
Yeah, that session was all his, and he's continued on, and I've just been watching. So anything that he's done now, I've had no control. I've never had any input. I just watch. It's unfolding to what thing is, how would I put it? It's unfolded to what I like and what I could ever wish for. But the thing is, you got to remember that you don't know what his capabilities was or is, and
Yeah.
now I do. I didn't know
Dennis,
what he was capable, because anything he's done, I've been happy with, and he's just continued and continued and grown.
right.
How, Dennis?
Are you leaving work, Dennis?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Finally.
I love those hard boxes you got. I've got the hard bags too, but they're not like yours. You can be a lot more. You got a lot more rugged, beefy.
I still, I like them. I do like them. I just wish that they would stay looking nice, but at the same time, I don't care. I cared when it was due, and every little thing like smudged them and scratched them and everything. But now now that I've had it for 3 years, I think already, almost 2 years, I don't care anymore. Now it's like kind of worked in. That's what you put that's what the stickers are for. You
Have
cover
you
up all the
settled?
scratches.
Right.
Have
you
I what?
settled on a mount? Have you settled on a mount you're going to use for the 1X? I remember you were trying a different couple mounts.
Well, my 1X is in the bottom of the Columbia River.
Oh,
So, I have settled finally on a final design that seems to work well for me. So, I use it. I'll use it with other 360 cameras. The only reason I don't buy a new 1X is because of it's so late in the year at this point, and I work for them, and they're kind of hinting that there's something coming out, and then they're going to give me one for free. So,
that's cool.
so I'm gonna just sit back and wait.
So you had it on the Mavic 2 and it came off, or the Mavic Zoom rather?
No, the Mavic Pro. I only have a Mavic Pro.
Right.
I rarely use the camera on it anyway, so I was like, why am I upgrading?
How did you fasten it, Dennis?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, Trevor.
I used a mount from that I got off of Amazon, and
Was it the double coated sticky one, or?
No, it was a top mount. I would have been better off using I would have been better off just putting a GoPro mount on the roof.
Yeah.
No, he used a 1/4 screw up top.
I see.
I used it on a mount that clips around the battery handles, and and it worked. I used it locally, but it worked. It because you could tell that it was like 3D printed. And as far as I'm concerned, 3D printed stuff is good for like a couple of uses. But I used it on the third time I used it, it failed, and I almost took the whole drone with it.
Jesus. I saw the one where you were on the picnic bench showing us all the setup.
Right, that was something new, trying something else. Oh, on that way, I haven't really played with that again, but that could be really cool. I need to play with that a little more. Now I'm off for the next 4 days, so I'll definitely be doing something stupid. I mean, interesting, stupid, interesting, same thing.
Well, you doodle while you work. What have you got? I see a camera on the side of your helmet there.
This one?
Yeah, there you go.
That is a Sena SENA 10C. And that's the audio you're getting right now is because this is Bluetooth to my phone. So it's acting as a microphone. That's the microphone. It's from that camera.
That's clear. That's clear as a bell, man. Chris.
When I get on the highway, open face, doesn't matter. It'll sound the same.
That's incredible.
Sometimes I think it sounds better when the whole thing's open, but I'm not heavy enough to trigger this light. It's nice. It makes me feel good about myself for a minute until I get tired of sitting here. Come on.
Are you at the stoplights, are you, Dennis?
What's that?
Are you at the lights, are you?
I'm sitting at a light, and my bike isn't heavy enough, even though my bike weighs about 1 million pounds. It's something just shit on me. Oh, it's a raindrop.
A raindrop. Oh, I'm glad it's a raindrop.
Yeah, me too. All right, let's do this. So, it's a really nice Sena makes really nice communicators. Matter of fact, both those big companies make nice ones, but this one, Bluetooth to the phone in a different way. Like I record. What I do is I record my audio, and I shoot a video with this helmet camera, and I use it like as the base for the audio. And then from there, I don't include it in the videos when I produce them. I just use the audio from them. But sometimes I'll use a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because it's always going.
Oh my lord!
I can't believe there's no wind in that.
I was about to say that, Jim.
It's that Dennis guy. Ari will let anybody in here.
Yeah.
It's Mr. Clickety Clack. Here I am.
Clickety clack.
I know that's like a push to talk Vox, but still, the wind.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
But you'll see. I'll get on the highway. I'll put the face shield once I get up to speed, and you'll see. It just doesn't really, except for the fact that it's going to rip my head off because it's like a parachute. It sounds fine.
You finished work for the week now, Dennis?
I am finished work for the week now.
I did not hear a single yabba dabba doo.
Yeah, yabba dabba dude as I slid down the dinosaur's back.
That's it.
So.
Yeah. I wouldn't let you near a dinosaur, mate. You'd have it between two pieces of bread before I knew what was going on.
You got that right. They didn't go extinct. They got eaten.
That's right. Yeah, well, I'm now charging batteries while I'm talking to you. I'm going to go out and fly the Inspire again and terrorize some more people.
Sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm half tempted to run home and grab my drone and just, because look at you. I don't know if you can see the clouds, but there's some pretty clouds. That makes for some pretty pictures, you know. Pretty pictures, but I know what's going to happen. I'm going to get my cheeseburger and then I'll be done.
Yeah.
I was thinking about going to Carl's Jr. just to make you feel bad today.
Yeah, I was going to say, you only mentioned Carl's Jr. just to make me feel good, but now, when I'm going out in a little while, I'm going to go in and say to my family, hey, kid, how do you feel like going and flying via Carl's Jr.? And she'll be in that.
You've got one over there, Ari?
I'm sorry, what was that, Jim?
You've got a Carl's Jr. over there?
They're the newest of the US chains to come out here. They've probably had a presence here for 2 years maximum, but at this stage they've really only got about 4 or 5 outlets that I know of. You know, the other ones, McDonald's, KFC, Hungry Jack's, which is what they call Burger King here. They've been 30 years or more.
Yeah, well, I haven't heard of them.
Well, actually, if you're into burgers as fast food, I'm sure they're going to arrive there, Trevor, and give them a go. I actually, I prefer it. I'm not a big fast food guy, but with 4 kids, obviously, at least once a fortnight, I find myself sitting down in a fast food joint, and I do find that I like Carl's Jr.
Are they similar to like a Wendy's over in America?
Yeah.
Well, they're close to a McDonald's or a
Because you know
Hungry
how
Jack's,
our Wendy's is. You know how our Wendy's is different to American Wendy's. It's just basically ice cream and hot dogs.
Yeah, here. Carl's Jr. don't pre-make anything. You know that you order and they cook for you, and they flame grill, but they don't cremate. So overall they're not bad anyway.
Where I live, we only really got the choice of Asian, McDonald's, Hungry Jack's, which is Burger King, and KFC.
Do you get a hamburger or not, Trevor?
Oh, we got hamburger shops where where they'll make one from scratch, and I'd prefer them because they're bigger, they're juicier.
They're probably real beef.
They're like real hamburgers, real beef.
So here's 75 miles per hour with the face shield open. Does it sound bad?
No, it's good. It'll sound bad when a big bug hits you right in the cheek and you scream like a little bitch.
Hey, it's my right to scream like a little bitch. I'm going to scream like a little bitch anytime I want to.
Okay, you've got my permission.
Brad wants to know where Carl's Jr. is in Australia there, Harry.
Brad, there's one at Brisbane Airport, and there's one here at Logan City, and there's one up at Mount Gravatt, and I've seen a couple of others driving around. One down the Gold Coast. They're making their way, and another American virus, buddy.
Fast food virus.
So what's your favorite thing at Carl's Jr.?
I wouldn't say that. Oh, yeah, I would actually. They have a hand crumbed chicken breast burger, and it's not bad. It's not bad.
I like chicken burgers.
Yeah, well, I only eat red meat on occasion, say 3 to 4 times a year. I don't eat a lot of red meat.
Yeah, I only eat red meat like 3 or 4 times a day myself.
Yeah, yeah, I never would have guessed that. I never would. Look, I just try and keep my cholesterol down, and hey, props off. You finally got to sit down. Well, that's bad management. Oh dear. Jungle Jim, dear.
Finally out of freaking work. Whew. I went into work feeling good today.
You would be surprised by them over here, Jim. I always thought that McDonald's, Hungry Jack's, whatever, Burger King was the same all round. I hosted a fellow to come out some years ago from Ohio when I was competition gaming, and I took him to Burger King, and we sat there and he ordered a burger and he asked me, was it a special gourmet outlet? And I said, no, it's just the same as everyone. Apparently the quality of the food that they sell here is light years ahead of the same franchises of the US.
You might have government restrictions that make it better.
Well, yes, probably, but we also have better beef. And I don't mean to be funny, but we have a very low fat content, and then by law,
yeah, but all the flavors in the fat.
Well,
you're saying that his meat is better
when you come over, Dennis, when you come over to Australia, I'll take you up to the highlands of Papua New Guinea with me, and before I come home, I will ask the little cannibals if that's true that the flavor in the fat. Yeah.
Papua New Guinea.
Cannibals.
They'll eat you instead of the burger.
They're getting slightly more.
You don't mean eating in that good way either, do you?
No. I mean with knives, and actual biting and chewing and swallowing.
Where the Papua New Guineans probably won't use the knives, they'll just they'll choose the menu just from the jungle.
Is this the one Tomas is having problems washing?
No, it's not one of these, Jim. It's not, honestly.
Well, what's his problem with washing it, Ari?
No, he's talking about a thermos. They're more like a flask. They have a narrowed neck, and short of having a bottle brush, they're very difficult to clean out. I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, the narrower ones at the top.
The bottle brush is like 50 cents.
These Rodney Bell mugs, they are as efficient as most thermoses that I've had, and of course with the removable top, they're very easy to clean. I love that cup. I do.
The only problem with the cup is the fluid seems to disappear too quick for me.
Yeah, yes, you didn't have yours when I spoke to you last, Trevor. So yours has arrived in the meantime.
Yes, it has. I've got the shirt as well as the cup.
Yep. Yeah. Well, as we can all
watch. The shirt's in the wash.
Oh, that's good. And Dennis, are you yet?
Am I in the drive-thru yet?
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to ask me?
Yeah.
Not yet. I'm waiting to turn at the light to go to that drive-thru.
Yeah. I don't know if you can't see, Dennis. I've got this really good logo that this fella made me.
Well, that piece of crap up in the right-hand corner?
Yeah.
I don't know. I rather like it,
I think it's quite good.
I like it. I have no intentions of animating it either, at least not for my live streams. I like it. I might embed it in one of my YouTube banners or something like that later on down the track. I do like it.
It's got a nice 3D look.
Yeah.
I beveled a little bit of it and made parts of it transparent, so it was like it wouldn't dominate the screen, because that's nobody wants to be hit over the head with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't assault you. It floats onto the sensors. It doesn't attack with fixed bayonets. I like it, but I had to laugh because Dennis made several drafts, all of which were excellent, and then sent them to me and said, "Which one do you like best?" Are you kidding? You're asking me. That's I'm a philistine when it comes to artistic endeavors.
Yeah, but beauty is the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, I understand that. What suits me isn't what would suit somebody else. I do understand that, but it does suit me, and I like it.
I think it suits you, Ari. I think it looks good. It's very Aussie.
Yeah, it's good. Carlos has just said the USA allow a lot more rodent feces and hair into their food.
Oh, you have no idea. They really do allow it.
Speaking of flavor.
Yeah, remind me not to go fast food in the US.
There's a certain amount of rodent hairs that are allowed in your peanut butter, man. They've even got it down to the count.
Oh no,
he's not lying.
That's the other day, which absolutely stopped me. I don't live in a fake reality. I know what the reality of modern life is, but I read one the other day. It might have been the World Health Organization released a report that said every month each of us now consumes about 5 grams or 1 credit card worth of plastic.
I wonder how.
Well, they did a scientific study early in the year, that came out that showed every organism on Earth that was tested is showing nanoparticles of plastic in the bloodstream from ingestion. It's coming in our water and in our food, and the average person is consuming 5 grams of plastic a month. Yeah, Sonia. Seriously, I have heard these stories about the health standards in the US, but I did, up until the guys here confirmed, that I could sort of dismissed it as one of those urban internet legends, because you always hear these stories about how bad it is.
No, it's absolutely true. The amount of fillers you can have and all that crap, it's all in there.
Chinese are making plastic rice. I don't know. Yeah, the Chinese and the North Koreans. Although
they were making recycled CDs into milk bottles, and the CDs create this coating, and the coating leaches off into the milk for the baby, and they've had to ban it because international outrage.
Well, a lot of where it comes, I'll tell you, try something. I had this recommended to me, and I actually did it. Get a tin of soft drink, any soft drink that you like. Open it up, drink the tin. And then with the ring pull standing vertically, get a pencil and put it through that and hang it, and get a large glass, big enough to dip the tin in, fill the tin with water, and fill the glass with drain cleaner, and just submerge it 2/3 of its height in the Drano by the pencil. Come back after 4 hours and see what you've got. You've got a little clear plastic container, because that's what your soft drink tins are lined in.
Yeah, the aluminum dissolves in the Drano, but the plastic doesn't. So you'll get it. Some people think the can becomes clear, but that's not what happens. It just eliminates the aluminum, and you have nothing left but the liner.
Oh, I can't help it. I've got to educate him, Trevor. Okay, so say aluminium.
Aluminum.
Yeah.
Aluminum. I can't say it. Aluminium. I can say aluminium, but I can't say aluminum.
That's okay. I have a hard time saying aluminum too.
I prefer to say aluminium. I had trouble saying those sort of words when I was younger.
Just as well you're not into aircraft. Try saying duralium.
Duralium.
Yeah.
I had a big task saying as a kid, saying hospital. I was used to say this.
Hospital?
Sounds around the wrong way.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Ali says, Brad just says Ali.
Eric, am I the only one that did not know that there was plastic inside the Coke can?
Yes.
I would
I didn't
admit
know.
I did not know until a little while ago, until I was told to try that.
Why
They-
is there plastic inside of it? Is it just
Apparently, the aluminium does impart some change to the taste of the contents.
okay? Because I know there was a big issue with when they brought out this brand of Coke, which is basically marketed as called no sugar,
Mm-hmm.
in relation or compared with they had zero prior to this,
Yeah.
and they reckon that they have to keep the recommended temperature needs to be lower by at least 2 degrees or more to actually create the flavor changes. If the temperature rises, it has to be chilled more.
I don't know about that, Trevor. I've been
That's
drinking
what the
no
that's
sugar
only
drink.
what the reps have said.
I've been drinking no sugar drinks for perhaps 25 or 30 years.
Yeah, I'm talking about this particular brand.
Back then,
Yeah.
I drink that one amongst others. Back then, it was supposedly the healthiest thing in the face of the earth. However,
Mhm.
nowadays there's a number of things they worry about. With apparently it makes you hungry, so it doesn't help you with weight loss, and also there's a number of industries where you're not allowed to operate heavy machinery after having drank. I think it's either aspartame or phenylalanine. Now, if you can't say aluminium, try saying phenylalanine. But apparently some of these artificial sweeteners they won't allow you to drive heavy vehicles after it's not.
Okay.
Tomas says it's only with the Coke cans. It's not with, let's say, Dr. Pepper or Sprite.
I'll take your word on that,
That's
Tom.
because the Coke will dissolve the aluminum just like Drano.
See, and the thing is, we got huge issues anywhere in the world with these flavor concentrates. See, I've when I was in the firefighting industry, I was in the hazmat, and we had a big hazmat situation involving Fanta high concentrate that you add in Fanta and in orange juice.
Yeah.
And it comes in big drums from America, and it's actually got toxic written on the drums. And we had to treat it as a toxic spill, and it was concentrate for Fanta and orange juice.
Well, there you go. They can drop that on Iran.
Well, other than the
that's
citric
pork
acid, what
chop.
did it have in it?
I can't recall.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a concentrate. Lots of things in concentrate are hazardous.
Mm.
Look,
Like people. People, for example.
We're hazardous.
well, concentrated people. If you concentrate people, I tend to be hazardous because I may run amok.
Well, that's exactly. You need to dilute us with a little space.
Tom, I will take your word for it, mate. I literally didn't know there was plastic inside tins until I saw that, and I consider myself to be fairly knowledgeable. I read a lot. I waste a lot of time watching documentaries. I did not know that. I assumed that being relatively inert, aluminium cans didn't have a liner until somebody suggested that I try that. If you tell me that it's only in Coke, I have no reason to doubt you. It makes sense because I don't know about there, but out here, one of the popular hacks, if you can't clean around the S bend in your toilet out here, you pour a bottle of Coke in your toilet before you go to bed at night and flush it in the morning, and it's as clean as a whistle.
Well, you need to do is test the theory now. Do the same test that you would have done with the Drano, but use Coca-Cola on the outside of the can and let it sit. I guarantee it won't be as fast, but I bet you if you leave it for like 48 hours.
Well, Coca-Cola is used by a lot of coin collectors too.
It's a rust remover too.
Yeah, that's about what it comes down to, Carlos. Big corporations, they don't really let ethics get in the way of making money. How long did Big Tobacco say that there was no link between tobacco and cancer? And don't get me wrong, by the way, I think that smokers are given a very hard time. Which I don't smoke, but I support their right to kill themselves however they want. But what bothers me is how big corporate entities claim that it's perfectly safe, tobacco and other things, when they've been sitting on proof for 70 years that it wasn't.
Gary says, I can't concentrate.
Hi, sorry about that.
Oh,
Get the joke? Yeah, you got it.
Gary.
I concentrate.
Don't give out your day job.
20 nuggets to make those fish. Okay. 1406.
He's doing the order. He's doing the big order.
And
14.
remember to spit in his burger twice, please.
Can I please have 14 cheeseburgers and a thick shake?
No. He wants 14 thick shakes and a cheeseburger.
The
Those
dollar.
cheeseburgers aren't very big. I'd eat a few of them.
They're thin as paper, the dollar menu nonsense.
Yeah.
Yes,
The
Tom.
dollar menu is probably the servings we really should be eating, just for the record.
Glass bottles are making a big comeback down here, Tom, as Trevor will tell you.
Mm.
And they've just reintroduced a national deposit scheme, 10 cents for you returning your recyclables. So now, for the first time in about 40 years, we're treated to the sight of kids scrounging around the neighbourhood collecting all the deposit.
We've been lucky here in South Australia because we've we've always had high-end recycling, where we've always been able to get 10 cents, 5 cents for a long time, but now 10 cents for a long time.
Yeah, when I was a kid here in Queensland, we had a deposit scheme on glass and various things.
Mm.
They phased that out around the time I was 10.
Yeah, where we've never ever phased it here in South Australia.
South Australia was the only state in Australia that kept it going, which was a good thing, but now they've gotten sensible and reintroduced it.
And the sad part is, Ari, is because I've travelled all around Australia in the towing industry as well as on holidays and that. And whenever you ever went over the border, you could see the difference. The litter in bottles and cans was ridiculous. Where in South Australia, you don't see any you see them every now and then, but they're all fresh. They're like only being dropped in the day or two because people collect them alongside the roads.
People are filthy dirty, and that annoys me. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I was going to say what Carlos is talking about. It's cheaper to pay lawsuits than to recall or fix problems. We have a company called Monsanto that makes Roundup, which is a weed and grass killer.
We have the same business going on here. The lawsuits about it down here.
Well, that was made from the beginning. It's always been toxic. It's just that they called it a proprietary blend and never gave out the formula to the government.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's all related. All these herbicides are related. People think that Agent, and I'm an Agent Orange baby. My father was sprayed through many wars, and where I lived in Bukit Baru in Malaysia, the military base, we were sprayed there. I was sprayed directly. People think that Agent Orange is an American invention. As a matter of fact, it was invented by the British in the Second World War, and they called it Agent White. So that just goes to show you that the military have no imagination. They just change the colors. We've always known that anything, there are areas where I was born. I've seen photos that have been sent from my old Ama, who used to look after me when I was a child. There are areas out there that to this day, 50 years later, nothing grows now. Anything that is powerful enough to kill all vegetation for a half a century, we are kidding ourselves if we don't think that has some sort of effect on all biological organisms, including ourselves. And Roundup is another one. I think Roundup is like a lot of things. If it was used strictly under strict controlled conditions, probably be all right. But when everybody can go down to the supermarket and buy a squeeze pack, they're asking for trouble. It's
just funny when you hear Monsanto, because one guy's buying seed from Monsanto and growing, let's say, soybeans, but if the guy next to him isn't, then Monsanto will test his land, because if any of the seed blew over, then they'll sue that farmer for using Monsanto seed. It's a joke. It's a joke.
I'm not armed at GM as most people are. Look, I would gladly ban the duck hunt if we could have greenie season. Okay, greenies give me the screaming abdabs because they live in some sort of fantasy world.
What is that?
Green, the green movement, they're extreme environmentalists.
Extreme, yeah.
They want a ban to all genetically modified crops and this sort of thing. Well, look, Nate, how do you think crops grow? They find Paleolithic wheat and grains in ancient graves, and they can tell you that the wheat that existed 40,000 years ago only developed about 10% of the grain that modern wheat did before they started playing around. How? Manipulation. The farmers used to use only certain strains, and it increased. Genetic modification has been happening for thousands of years. It's just that we've only recently started doing it in a laboratory. It has its place. Of course, it brings up the mad scientist scenario where somebody with nefarious motives is going to do something terrible. But hey, man, we're living in the world of nuclear weapons. What the hell are we worried about? Oh yeah, we've had some huge Adani protests here in Brisbane, Brad, and they don't.
Wait a minute. We don't know what you're talking about.
Adani is a Indian multi-billion-dollar mining corporation, and they've been fighting for around 7 years to open up a huge coal mine in the Galilee Basin, and it's been held up for years and years in red tape because the greenies are screaming about it. And really, it had a large part to do with the Labor Party here losing the unlosable election recently. And thank you, Mark. And it's been approved, and now they're red rabble. The protesters are super gluing themselves to the streets in town, trying to demand that it be stopped. It's not going to be stopped, and the unpalatable truth, which the greenies don't want you to know, is to turn the world into the utopia that they envisioned. 2/3 of humanity has to die. We do not have the means to support life as we are running it now. We go on about wind, solar, geothermal. The fact of the matter is,
feed them. Yeah, we can't feed them.
If you put them together, we can reach perhaps 20% of the world's energy requirements. There may come a time when we can power ourselves with solar, but that's 100 or 200 years away. And the only means we have of powering society now is nuclear, and that is eminently feasible in places like Australia, where the land mass has been stable for 300 million years. You're crazy to build nuclear stations in places like Japan. But Australian coal, this is, it's not a good thing to be pumping out greenhouse gas. Agreed. However, Australian coal, for some reason, which I haven't gone into, which is what I've read, only produces about 1/6 of the greenhouse gases of coal mined in China and in other places in the world. So in the meantime, while we're busy building an alternative power system, the way I see it, it would certainly make more sense to, if we're going to burn coal, burn Australian coal, or wherever it comes from that has the lowest output. I didn't realise that different types of coal had more or less carbon gases released. Apparently it does. But the greenies don't want you to know that, of course.
Yeah, I've never heard of that either. I've never looked into it. We had a similar situation here with something called fracking.
Yeah, I know what fracking is.
Yeah.
Fracking sucks.
It destroys the land, but it gets the oil out. And for the first time, the United States is actually an oil producer rather than a buyer.
I thought it was natural gas.
No, oil. 18%.
Mike, genetic modification from your food does not travel on into your body. As a matter of fact, 90% of what you take into your body passes through unmetabolized. It cannot be metabolized. Mind you, the scare brigade would like you to believe that. They rely on the fact that people will be alarmed before they will go and research.
True too, isn't it?
Yeah, that is true. I mean, more and more people are starting to Google, but they Google more stuff relating to stuff that happens down the pub. When it comes to being concerning stuff, they just believe because it's a knee-jerk reaction.
And half the crap on Google is just crap. Yeah. I feel like I'm watching the Paul Murray channel.
Why is that?
He always has a tin of brownies there and is always eating them. Have you seen him, Paul Murray?
Yes.
I'm eating a biscuit that my daughter gave me.
It's
I'm eating
poison.
a double bacon cheeseburger.
And Dennis is eating and Trevor's over there eating.
Did Spud say it was poisonous?
Yeah. So what have I got to do to get the antidote?
A new car.
Ha.
The Inspire.
I bought you a car. It's under the house. You haven't got a license yet.
Okay, the Inspire.
She wants to Inspire. Look, I'll let you fly the Inspire, but that's as good as it's going to get.
Deal.
She's happy.
Mm-hmm.
She got that out of you quick.
I'd already decided I was going to let her fly it.
She must be smart because she probably made the deal higher end, so then you can compromise for something lower. And she's happy, you're happy, and everyone's happy.
Welcome to the stream, Brent Nunley. Could you, darling, could you die quietly?
No.
Yeah, could you die on the side over there, please?
All right, what an inconvenience you guys. I'm glad you're alive.
Yeah. Kids, can't live with them. Get arrested for pedophile. Brad, we do need a license in Logan. Just because I rode a motorcycle for, hang on, I'll figure it out, 37 years without a license before I finally got one. You know, don't take that to be typical.
I did that too, Ari, when I was a kid.
Well,
Figured the driver's license was good enough.
well, in the day they weren't so hot on it, and I rode for most of my life without a license. When the family was born, we had to set up. I was not in good health then. I wasn't yet retired, but I was heading that way. And I had a collectible bike at the time, and I sold it to fund the nursery. And my wife said to me, "Don't worry, darling, I'll buy you another one," which she did. You know, about 15 years later. And the kids were old enough then. The first thing they said was, "Oh, we want to go on the back." And I used to pillion my wife, but the wife said, "Oh, if you're going to pillion the kids, you better get a license." So after 37 years, I went and got a license.
I got one after the tickets kept mounting up because once they know you don't have the license, if you
they target you.
Did Jim freeze?
I think Jim has frozen, yes. But, yeah, the old motorcycle. I enjoy riding. I'm at that point in my life where I wouldn't use it as my primary method of transport, but I enjoy doing it for fun. Except the knots it puts in my hair, Trevor.
Yeah, I used to like riding when I was younger. A lot younger.
See, we're all eating now, every one of us.
I have an Electric Glide Classic. It's the only one I can ride with my back. I've got the air shocks and I've got the lower seat for the back support and all that nonsense.
Oh, sorry, Jim, we were talking about motorcycles, not Harleys.
Hey, they went to electric. Have you seen Project Livewire?
Yeah, I did, as a matter of fact. But, you know, let's face it, anything, and I'm not just talking about Harley now, I'm just talking in the West. Anything in the West is always 20 years behind what they're playing with in Japan or Korea.
Well, all those other bikes are about speed. Look at that Hayabusa. That's crazy, man.
I've ridden a Hayabusa. They're all right. You know, I'm a big guy, but there's still a lot of horsepower under them. I I've shifted over. I used to ride Jap bikes, inline fours. I held the Australian B Street drag racing record for 9 years, with a pass of 9.78 seconds without wheelie bars. So I used to do that. Now I have shifted over to cruisers, V twins. I don't like Harleys because of the 55-degree V. I prefer the European 90-degree V model.
Oh, you like the BMW?
No, look, as a matter of fact, the Japanese are doing it now. If I could have anything I wanted, probably the top of the line Suzuki Boulevard with the 1800cc V twin would be what I'd go for now. I think Mikey's got, as in Philly Mike has got that model or something very, very similar to it, actually.
Carlos owned one, then decided it wasn't a good idea with a child. That's true, especially in New York. The traffic is amazing. It's ridiculous. People, like a red light is a maybe kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Yellow means hurry up. It's going to turn red, that kind of thing.
I'm a bit more, sorry.
People cut you off all the time. You're like not even there to car drivers.
I'm a bit more fatalistic, and maybe I'm wrong, Jim, but I feel that if your number is up, your number's up. Doesn't matter what you're driving. I've been very lucky on motorcycles. I've never come off, not one time, not ever. I realise that my number will come off. It will come up eventually. I will come off because that's statistics. I ride except when I was drag racing, I ride very, very carefully. I know that I'm vulnerable, and as I said, I don't use it as my primary means of transport, unlike certain sonographers I could mention.
The only thing I do remotely consider dangerous is I do not wear a helmet. I was lucky. I was out in Arizona for a couple of years. I was stationed there with the Marines, and here in Florida, a helmet is a choice. We don't have to wear one. There's nothing like being in 90-degree weather, 100% humidity, and sweating like a pig out of your helmet.
Of course, being the outrageous nanny state Australia is, helmets are mandatory here. If they were not, I would probably wear a helmet sometimes, but other times I most certainly would not. But yeah, that's me. You take your risk. The only thing is, I think if you choose, because of we have a really comprehensive public health hospital system here where they will pick up a bill for almost anything. I think if you elect to not wear a helmet and you obtain sustain a head injury, then the bill should be on your head. Other than that, it's your choice.
Good money, but not worth it. We didn't have all the safety equipment they have now.
I used to climb towers as part of my job. I'm too old for that.
I was talking about climbing?
Yeah.
As long as there's other people near you, the potential for an accident. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. And, if your number's up, your number's up. You be driving a tank. If it's your turn, it's your turn.
Yeah. You see what Sonia's saying there? And I've had cars do that to me. In fact, if you're splitting lanes on the Long Island Expressway, if you're coming up between the two, I've had people open their car doors so I would hit them.
Lane splitting has been illegal here up until only a short period of time ago, and now it's legal under very strict circumstances. Yeah, I don't believe in much being mandatory, Gary. I'm a bit of an anarchist like that. I prefer to make my own decisions. I'm prepared to take the responsibility for my own decisions, but I don't need Big Brother to tell me what I need to do.
Yeah, but I've heard some horror stories about that universal health care too in Canada.
We have a great system in Australia, Jim, really. We're fairly highly taxed, but we do get our money's worth.
Rented a moped on holidays. It was some crack. It's a totally different feeling being on a bike. than in a car. I mean, all the stories aren't true. There's no waiting list or anything that for surgeries and all that jazz, like I've heard. I don't know.
There's waiting lists here, Jim, but it depends on what your problem is. If it's cosmetic or something that's not serious, you might wait a year or two to go into surgery here. But if it's serious, a category 1, you're into surgery pretty quick.
But Gary Foster, he's in Canada, isn't he? He's not in Australia.
I don't know, but we have some look. Commonwealth countries tend to resemble each other quite a bit.
Gary Foster, isn't he Brent Ariels now?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure which side of the border he hails from, but I like him heaps. So I'd be really disappointed to hear that he was American.
You looking him up, Trev?
Pardon?
Are you looking him up?
No, I can though.
Oh, okay.
If he's in Canada, I knew he was a decent human being.
All right, see, there it is, Canada.
I think he is in Canada.
Yeah, he said it. We
Yeah.
triage here. Well, that's pretty much what Ari just said. Depends how needy you are.
Oh, you want a link, mate? I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Wait a second.
What happened to him?
He's got off the bike now and he's on his home system. I should have realised.
Yeah, we saw him eating.
Oh, come on, Brent. I've got to take the piss out of the Americans. It's my hobby horse.
And we don't care.
Yeah, that's
We
all right.
don't either.
If I actually meant it, I would understand you getting upset. You guys. If I actually meant it, I would understand you getting upset.
All right, Dennis, mute that audio.
If I actually meant it,
That's me. Sorry.
if I actually meant it, I would understand you getting upset.
All right, Dennis, mute that audio.
Hello, sing 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I get it now.
Are you there, Dennis?
I think I am.
Okay.
I have too many windows open. Am I here? Can you hear me?
You are.
All right, good. I still had Hangouts open, the other Hangouts window open from trying to get in before.
Hey, there's Jim from Video Calling Show. Jim, we were talking about you earlier.
None of
And
it was
how
good.
you it was all lies. And how you strictly use the Zoom
We were here.
compared to
How you going, Jim?
Welcome to the channel, Jim. I'm not exactly what you'd call the most high-profile streamer, but you're welcome to drop in any time.
I'm glad he dropped in. That's so cool.
Yes.
Here's a quarter. Call someone that cares. That's it.
Yeah, that's how we take it. We don't care, right?
Yeah, we were debating the pros and cons of the various alternatives to Hangouts for streaming. That's where your name come up. We were talking about Zoom, and you've been using it pretty much longer than anybody else that we can think of.
Yeah. And of course, he loves it. And like we said, he hasn't had any problems with it.
I was first introduced with Zoom on Jim's show.
Yeah.
When
And
I
he
did-
he gets to download his shows, and then he'll edit them
Mhm.
and put up clips.
Yes, he did one of mine.
Right.
I
Oh,
was
God.
suspicious of
Why would he
Zoom.
ever do one of yours, Trevor?
I don't know. I might be interesting for someone.
Using Zoom for about 4 years. I saw it first on your stream. I was a little suspicious at first because I'm relatively new to the YouTube community. I think I'm going on 3 or 4 months now. And with all those years in IT, I first time I saw it, oh, what? I've got to install a client? Oh, I don't know about that. So I avoided it. Then Dennis ambushed me a couple of weeks ago. He said, oh, join my stream. And he sent me a link, and I didn't realize. I clicked on it. And of course, it installed the client. And I did
A
a
lot
little
of
bit.
people are like that, afraid to do that.
Yeah, well, you're not paranoid if they really are out to get you, but a little bit of research shows that Zoom is very, very much above board, and I am impressed with how it works. What impresses me greatly with Zoom from the perspective of being in Australia is our internet is so appallingly bad. and Zoom's performance. They must be using very, very good compression, because Zoom's performance on moderate links is really impressive. And I'm just using Hangouts here, Jim. There's a link in chat. If you want to join us, feel free.
I
Obviously-
just got done saying that to him in the chat.
Yep.
Come on, Jim.
But,
Oh,
yeah,
it now
I'm
has a
sure.
web component. See, so there's no download. I didn't know that.
Nor did I. I have a feeling I'm going to get to know a little bit more about Zoom, because from what I have seen, Zoom is the best option for me on low bandwidth.
I'm thinking about going Zoom.
It offers a very good scope to have guests on with relatively ease. And I mean, I use OBS obviously, and I could stream with OBS, but to have to use Skype to have people call in is going to kill my link badly.
Hey, Michael McReynolds.
Michael
Glad you could join
McReynolds, welcome to the stream, and there's a wrench for you, sir.
You know what, Ari? I was telling Jim, because he doesn't get to see our side of it. They actually added some components to Zoom where you can fine tune, what camera or how much bandwidth you want it to use, and those options were not there before, but they are now.
Well, they've been there as long as I've been using the client setup of it, and I did not have to adjust any of the bandwidth. I simply had to select the correct video and audio inputs, and off it went very, very well. And I did not have to read it's very intuitive. I didn't have to read a single piece of documentation on how to. It came up and it ran. That was that.
I had a little bit of trouble at first. It took me a while. I was, and then once I got it, now it comes up automatically. If I need it, I just click it and it puts me straight on.
That's how it started for me, Trevor. When I would join his show, I would just, click Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worthwhile, and there is, several features. And I know that the one that Val is using, she mentioned, was I think just short of 15 US, so it'll probably be 22 or 23 Australian.
That's right.
I believe that she can have Tom does know the exact number, but I'm sure it was about 100 people. Not why you would ever want to have 100 people, escapes me. You can have 100, and that's not bad value. And as I said earlier, if I'm going to be paying somebody to stream, it's not going to be Google.
She had about 9 on today, including herself.
Yeah, she had 11 or 12 the first testing she did. She tried to cram on as many people as she could.
Well, yeah, you're most welcome, Michael McReynolds, and there's a link up there, but I'll put it in again if someone
Tony from Viewed Here is here. Viewed This. He does channel reviews.
No, don't review my channel. It wouldn't look pretty. This isn't a channel. This is a glorified conference call.
Yeah, we're having fun.
Just an extension.
We being a drone channel, we try and keep drone conversation to a maximum of 5 minutes per hour.
Yeah, I don't think we've. Jesus, have we even talked about it at all?
I can't recall. Not while I've been on.
We'll do a Claude. Then look, there's a drone. Everybody, it's definitely a drone channel.
We've been talking about motorbikes and fast food.
This is a Matrice 210 RTK, and underneath it is a Mavic 2 Pro.
No, that's enough. No more drone stuff now.
There is that's our obligatory 5 minutes of a drone talk.
Yeah.
This is my bird.
There you go.
Charming. He's a nice guy, Dennis. You can take him anywhere. Twice. The second time to apologise. Hello, Chris Hope. Good to see you, my friend.
Hey, Chris.
Oh my God, Nacho.
I think we had more motorcycle talk and camera talk.
Yeah, I think so.
Anything else?
Claude was in earlier, but he probably said goodbye and I missed it. I hate that. I tend to lose focus on the chat, which is not good manners. I'm sorry about that.
I didn't see Claude.
I didn't see Claude. I only just seen Sonia.
Yeah, that's all I saw.
Sonia's been here. She was the first person to join me this morning. But knowing Sonia as I do, I can tell you that she'll be sitting there up to no good. and enjoying every minute of it.
She's a behind the scenes
That's it. What is Claude has a comment title for revolving around her moderator work. I can't think of it. Claude will tell me next time I see him. Yeah, I thought he said something the other day to me, Sonia, Claude did, about having quit. He's officially retired. I honestly was joking to me, but yeah.
I heard the rumor that he admitted that he is quit.
Yeah, he's packed it in, as far as I'm aware, and has decided to join the ranks of the officially retired. Good on him too.
Oh no, he was doing that car transporting. Yeah, he quit that.
Don't worry, Jim. A video calling show. You're welcome anytime, my friend. It's not exactly the most professional setup in the world, but yeah, we all seem to enjoy ourselves.
Night, Jimbo.
Yep, see you, Jim.
Good guy.
He's straight up, isn't he? He's down there.
Yeah.
He loves his tractors. He loves his racing, all that sort of stuff that I'm into too.
He's big in music too, yeah.
And big in music as well, yeah.
Brent says that Sonia is a looker/lurker. Brent, you have somewhere between 6 months and 2 years to stop saying things like that.
He's still delivering vehicles. I thought that's what he was quitting.
Okay.
It might be his drone. It may be his drone work that he's retired from.
No, actually, he was talking about his drones today. He had a problem with his H520 Unique Bird. The GPS was gone south on it, and it was doing the toilet bowl on him.
Is that the one that he did the receiver mod for?
I don't know, because he has the 922, that one that has the GH4 camera on it.
This is one of the downsides of living in Australia, which is, I'm pretty well wed to DJI stuff, which you can see from the boxes, but that's simply because it is the only brand that I can get easily access to, or getting. We all like to test drive before we buy, and I wouldn't say that there's no Uniques or other brands here. They are here, but people, in many cases, at the very least, have to order them in from interstate and more likely from overseas. There's just no big dealership for anybody other than DJI, and that's disappointing. I'd like to try the Uniques and so. The only one that I'm not overly pushed to try is the X Dynamics Evolve, because I've seen enough of the well-known guys laughing at its expense, which is a shame, because it had all the promise in the world when it's 2 years since they first announced it, and a year since it's the hit production. Beautifully made, looks $1 million, but it gets damned by faint praise. For that money, it's twice the money effectively as a Phantom 4, and you expect it to hands down beat the Phantom 4 in every area. It's a much newer platform, but unfortunately it doesn't.
It has a 2015 camera on it, and its software is way behind.
Well, my old Inspire 1, effectively has a similar spec camera as the Unique. The thing that I find most disappointing is the range that people are getting out of it. Officially, it's a kilometre, I believe, or a mile. But people are losing connection routinely at about 400 meters. Now, don't get me wrong, the rules in Australia, of course, are it's got to stay within line of sight. But I like to have some redundancy in hand. If I'm going to fly out to a drone of that size, line of sight would be 500 or 600 meters. If I'm going to fly out to 500 or 600 meters, I want to know that it's actually got a capability of maintaining a connection at 3 times that, 1.5 kilometers. And they're just not doing it. Brent's off. Okay, Brent. Well, I said so.
Yeah, he said he's off.
All right, my friend, you take care. Thanks for dropping in and visiting.
Even with the Inspire 1, which I've never had a problem with, I still use the parabolics on the antenna just because I can.
What I find with the Inspire, and I haven't flown it much, but I find that here around there, and I had the same issue with anything that uses the enhanced Wi-Fi. So Sparks, Mavic Air. Here around home, they start to get a bit glitchy. I get interference warnings at 300-400 meters. When I get down to the beach or away from any sort of RF pollution, I get a lot better range. I don't know exactly what, because it's illegal to fly it out there, but I would suspect that quite easily well over a kilometre with either of those. I like the Inspire, and I know that it's an obsolescent platform.
Listen, that may be the only bird that we're actually able to fly in a few years, because all these new birds, they have remote ID, they have ADS-B in. They're going to be completely controllable, and when I say that, I mean grounding them.
Yeah.
Not allowing them to take off.
ADS-B is a bit of a non-starter here. It's got a much higher profile in the United States than anywhere else. In Australia, it's still not mandatory that all manned aircraft carry a transponder. So the major commercial carriers do, of course, but agricultural aircraft, crop dusters, private none of them have transponders here, and I monitor for transponders when I'm on the job, and the amount of times I have an aircraft buzz past, and I go, "Where the blazes did you come from?" And there's nothing of them at all. There you go. Gary gets 2 kilometres from his Mavic Air with no problems. I'm not surprised. Yet when I flew it from here, I was getting interruptions at about 280 metres. And I knew straight away that was down to, it's a very high RF output area here. I was actually flying on Saturday right next to the Volunteer Marine Rescue base there, and it's got a lot of radio antennas there, and I was flying both the Inspire 1 and the Mavic Air, and I was wondering whether I was going to get any interference issues, but I didn't. But mind you, they're on VHF low primarily, so I'll actually see if I can't incorporate some of that footage. No, I can't, because I haven't got. Oh, yes, I have. All right.
I've not had problems over water either, Carlos.
I love flying over water. Some people really won't do it, and I don't know why.
In fact, with the Inspire 1,
water.
with the Inspire 1, I was tracking the kite board, the surfboard with the kites on them. And they'll alert you when they're 26 feet above water height, as long as there's any kind of ripple in that water.
Okay, there's some footage taken on Saturday in my window. That's at Volunteer Marine Rescue at Jacobs Well.
Which camera are you using on it?
That is the Mavic Air.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, I took it out simply because I hadn't flown the Air in some time, and I like to cycle the batteries at least once a month, even though I store them at the right setting. And
I do the same.
It's a very handy little bird, and you can, at a pinch, do commercial footage with it. What's
the camera on those? I don't even know.
Essentially they're a modernized camera, the same as you would find on the original Mavic Pro. They're a 4K 12 megapixel, excuse me. They're 4K at 30 frames a second, fixed lens, fixed field of depth. So, but they're a great little bird, a little overpriced, and they have been a big disappointment to DJI. The sales haven't been great, but I enjoy it. If I had
that's their middle bird, right? They got what is it about the Spark?
That's between the Spark and the Mavic 2. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Hang on. That's.
I've seen those. The Mavic Pro prices really coming down.
That's the Air there.
Okay.
And it's a good little bird. Very limited in range in built-up areas due to RF, but as Gary just said, he's had 2 kilometres out of his, so which I suspected. You know, when like the Sparks, they're no different. Once you get them away from your built-up area, they'll go a lot further. I haven't looked at this footage from the Volunteer Marine Rescue Base. I just downloaded it off the bird, and and dumped it on the hole. You can see the tower here appearing.
I consider it dangerous when you don't have volunteer organizations.
Well,
I'm in a town that last saw its volunteer fire department in 1983 because all the fire department was doing was letting them roll up the hoses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They discouraged them from even volunteering. And I don't like that crap at all. All that does is keep it so their salaries stay high, and they're a bleed on our pensions system.
I'm enlarging the window there. This is the antenna. They asked me to have a quick look at their antennas for them and give them some footage. So that's their transmission tower there.
Now, did you get any problems at all while you were flying?
None at all. But as I said, they marine radio out here runs in VHF low around, I'm trying to remember, I think 88 megahertz. So, you know, there's no harmonic or primary that's close to the 2.4 gig from that frequency. So it was quite good, and they were very good because whenever I fly on the coast, I said this earlier to Sonia, I think, before you guys joined. Whenever I fly on the coast, I always notify Volunteer Marine Rescue, usually by phone, in case they have to call in a helicopter for a rescue. But on Saturday, I actually went up into the room there and climbed the stairs and told them what was happening, and they let me fly off the boat ramp, which was good because it meant I didn't have to worry about it. It's closed off to the public. That's the concrete one you can see. The Commodore and the head of operations came down, and I just said to them, well, because we've got the new laws coming in in another 6 days, which means I have to maintain quite a hefty amount of flight to keep my license current. And so I said to them, well, look, if you need some footage.
What? Wait a minute. What is that?
Well, under the new laws that are coming in, for my license to be current, i.e., they don't revoke your license. However, if you don't meet their currency requirements, you are not able to take any new endorsements or things like that. Your license effectively becomes moribund. And to keep it current, you are going to have to fly 50% of the total weeks since you were first certified. And I haven't done that. I've gone a month or more. So I'm looking down the barrel of having to fly every week for probably the next 5 months to bring my ratio up to where they need it. So I said to them down there at Volunteer Marine Rescue, I said, look, guys, if you want some footage taken, I'll make myself available. And, they couldn't bring out their notepad and take my details fast enough. They want me to go out with them in the boat and film some of their training exercises, which I'm happy to do.
Sure.
And unfortunately, that's the one good thing about it, the way that the law has been written. Yes, we do have to fly for 50% of the weeks. However, flying for content creation, so flying for YouTube or flying in a volunteer scenario, does class as commercial operation for that purposes. So it's doable. It's doable.
I'm sure they'd be happy to get some training videos out of you.
Oh, and I don't mind. I used to be a volunteer down there as a radio operator. Although I don't remember any of the guys who are there now. They're the guard has changed since those days.
They're all dead.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice about it. But yeah, they're all dead. They're even older than I am. Yeah.
Nobody's that old.
You can talk. What was your year of birth?
We're the same age.
Yeah.
Actually, Carlos, there's theories that with the sonic, what is that signal that comes down from our birds, guys? It gets absorbed by the water rather than bounced back, which is why they say, like use carpet or different patterned ultrasonic, isn't it? Ultrasound?
Subsonics, yeah.
Subsonic? Okay.
Actually.
What?
The sounds, I do.
I know you do.
The ultrasonic. That's kind of like what I do for a living. Huh?
Yeah.
It will be reflected by the interface of the water and it'll come back at an even faster frequency, and that might confuse the sensors. I know that in the past, in the beginning, when people started crashing in water, it was because like there would be waves and it would reflect it and not a perpendicular right back up. It would scatter the signal and it would just keep going down. Or if they were on a flat lake and it would say, well, we're too low, and it would start to land, thinking the water is solid.
And
Ari,
heard about
Ari, if I can interrupt, Ari, please shut off your automatic landing gear on your Inspire 1.
I always toggle it manually. I'd leave it on, but I don't like how late it deploys the landing gear. So generally speaking, I flick the switch down and deploy the gear at 5 or 6 meters, almost 20 feet off the ground.
I had one sitting over a tree, and here's why. The wind was going through a gusting pattern. So I said, let me just ride it out. All right, I'll start flying again when the gusts are over. Well, it thought the tree was the ground, and it lowered the booms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you must have been pretty close. My Inspire doesn't deploy until I'm about a meter, 3.5 feet away, which I think is a bit late. Gary, no complaints from the video quality from your clients. Yeah, the Mavic Air. Look, the Air's a little noisy, but that doesn't bother me. I'm certified, and I don't fly it anywhere I shouldn't, so I don't really care. The camera is quite usable. We're looking at footage from it now in my little window. You can't tell me that's not usable. As I say to people, I don't have 9 drones because I'm the Imelda Marcos of drones. Every one of them has its own use. From the Spark right up into the Inspire, and I use the Air. Although I have to say, of all of the ones I have, the one I could do without the most is the Air, because I had the Spark and the Mavic 2 before I had the Air, and I can at a pinch do any of the jobs with the Air with one of those two. But I've got it now, and I'm happy enough to have it. My wife came home last week with a gift for me, which was 2 batteries for the Inspire, because I only have the one. I really only use it to impress clients. And they're getting a little harder to find here.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
No, so she came home with 2. That's why I took it out on the weekend to fly. I spent more time flying it on the weekend than I have since I bought it.
Bet you had fun.
It's a beast to fly. It's a ball.
It is.
It lacks most of the sensors. And I don't need to tell you, when you give it a full forward, it tends to lose, 5 or 6 feet of height. It doesn't hold height as steady. You've got to have your wits about you flying the Inspire 1 compared to the more modern drones. But the trade-off is it is a ball of fun.
It is one agile bird, man. I think with a tailwind, I had one up to 65 miles an hour.
I've had mine, I say 60. I've had mine around 58, 57, 59 a few times.
Yeah, I didn't know that, of course. That was what came up on my, what is that, Flight Hub or whatever the heck it is.
I've seen a few of them, achieve 70 miles an hour, as you say, with a big tailwind.
Yeah. But still, like you were talking about earlier, you were chasing something, a boat or something like that. It has the ability to sweep around like no other bird I have.
I could not catch him. This particular guy. I could catch the jet skis, but I could not catch him. And I'll put up a little bit of footage from the Inspire 1 in a minute, which, as I said, it's got a tilted horizon problem. I have to address that, and I don't know what the issue is yet.
As I remember, when you do the calibration, you can also hit the buttons to go a little bit left or a little bit. Yeah, okay.
We're talking about 20 degrees here. Hang on, I'll bring it up now. I'll find it. I haven't looked at this footage at all.
It's really that much?
Yeah, I'm not happy. But as I said, I haven't spent much time flying this thing. And it is an older generation. I can't really be annoyed. I haven't joined that footage, so it'll be just 4 gig file.
I'm afraid that's why I kept them. I'm afraid that they're going to be the only ones that they're not going to have the technology to ground them because it's not on the bird.
Okay, this is footage off the Inspire that's now in the window there, and You know, it's hard to tell, of course, from your aerial footage. And as you can see, I'm tilted quite considerably there. I don't like that. It's hard to tell from the air, but it absolutely motivates. And this is what have we got here? This is the fellow I couldn't catch, and you can see him coming around there. And I decided to give chase. And although you can't tell, I get up to very close to 60 mile an hour here. And
So you went into sport mode?
Yes, yeah, I'm in
Okay.
whatever it is, A mode. There's no sport mode per se. And as you can see, he's just pulling away. I gave up at this point and thought that's a bad joke. I think the wind is also adding to my tilting because depending on which way I'm facing is which direction. And there you can see the local sugar mill in the distance issuing smoke. So I'll just sort that out and I'll be back with you guys. Few details.
I've got a water pump running in the background, but I would try doing the IMU on a flat table. Not so much the compass as the IMU, and then just do a recalibrate. That might work.
I'm going to, apparently, if you hold in the C2 button, you can adjust the tilt on the camera with the right-hand rotary control. And that's what I'm going to try next.
Okay, I'm going to catch you guys later because my dog's itching to go for a walk.
Okay, mate.
And then I'm going to go and have a nap.
Thanks for joining us, Trevor.
No worries, guys.
Actually, I'm going to jump out because my wife is itching to go for a walk.
That's all right, Jim. I'm getting close.
My pet comes first.
Everybody's walking the bitches.
My life comes first. She'll kill me.
This is my life, but my pet comes first.
What does Dale keep saying? Happy wife, happy life.
All right, gentlemen. All right, thanks a lot for having me on, man. I really
I'm
appreciate
glad
it.
to catch up with you, Jim. It's been a while, so I'm really glad you dropped in. Thanks for coming in.
All right, good night, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Night.
How are you going there, Dennis? You finished snacking?
I have, and I'm muted. Am I muted? Oh, I thought I was muted. I'm not muted.
Oh, you're not muted. I didn't mute you. You weren't clickety.
No, I thought I muted me
No,
because I was making noise. I thought I muted myself. I'm gonna move the chat up the
you don't have
up
the
to
best,
the iPad. So
you don't have the best link today, mate. You're a little bit grainy, mind you. That could be me too.
I look better, grainy. Trying to get this, all my stuff was packed up because I was taking it to work with me. Now I'm home for the 4 days, so it's time to set everything back up.
And you don't have a trip away planned this time to get footage or something like that?
No, I kept on saying I was going to think about it today, but I didn't think about it at all.
From what I
could
could
really should have thought of it.
From what I could see, you and Ron had an absolute ball.
Oh, yes. Well, bless me, what? It's grainy here too. I'm grainy. Hi. You know what? It was good. Ron's great. His friends were very nice, but I didn't like the combination riding styles was more than I really want. I'm a loner. I always want to go on a group ride, then I get there and I go, this sucks.
Well, I noticed that he was riding, I don't know, something along the lines of an electro glide, a low rider Harley type thing, a riding armchair. And I thought, well, that's a bit of a mismatch on bikes.
Well, it wasn't Ron. It was the fact that the group wouldn't stay together. So
yeah,
I don't like things that gets under my skin.
I do not like for that reason. There's always somebody who wants to push the envelope, and you've got two choices. Do I look at the Inspire hooting in that footage. It really is great. You're left with two choices. You either push yourself to keep up, or you don't, and you fall behind. And
You
what do
die, and you die.
Time to put another battery on charge. Hey, look at that. That's the thing that we all want to see, is all the lights lit up.
I look like Roger tonight.
You look
That's
like
that.
Roger. No, you couldn't have that sort of.
That's what Brett.
You couldn't be that handsome with that much gravitas as that, Dennis.
Yeah, I Roger's the man.
I've got to say nice things about Roger, because he might watch this stream. So he could subject me to the ultimate sanction and send Kim to live with me.
Is Kim related to Roger?
I am not sure whether he's related by blood. He's certainly family by choice, and I can understand that. I think Kim is a gentleman. I know that I don't know whether it's real or feigned. Whether there's a little bit of tension between him and Val. I think that she gets exasperated with him at times. But Kim is a very cheerful, happy-go-lucky guy. I have never yet seen him down or with his nose out of joint over anything. He's an absolute pleasure to be around.
I don't.
Sorry, guys.
My mic doesn't sound good. Yeah, I'm getting. It took me a lot of tries to get connected tonight, so there must be something with the internet. Busy time, Sunday night, everybody home. I don't know. I'll use any excuse. Sorry.
No. Yeah, good question, Carlos.
I'm tired.
Sorry, mate. I don't use goggles. Out here, technically, they have until recently been utterly illegal. Under the new regime coming in 6 days, they will be allowed under certain strict rules with observers, and you can't just appoint anybody as an observer either. They've got to hold a formal observer's qualification. So I am looking at look, Val could come and live with me. She's cheerful. Mind you, my wife might be less cheerful. Yeah, I would like to get a set of goggles for my equipment. However, there's the two editions of the DJI goggles, the white one and the black one. I think the black one's called the Racing Edition. I'm not sure whether either of those versions is compatible with all of the drones that I have, or whether I have to buy the white one for the older Inspire and the black one for the newer stuff. But I would like to see.
How much are they?
In Australia, the black one, which is the one I see on sale the most, is just short of 800 Australian dollars. But nothing's cheap.
I wish those little kind of goggles that the FTP guys, the VP, whatever.
Yep.
FPV.
Yeah, the fat sharks, that sort of stuff. They're quite good. I have been looking at them. It's still on my agenda. Of having to buy a new car slowed me down a little bit. It's on my agenda to get a FPV quad to familiarize myself with it. But they're a good set of goggles in Australia is about the $400 mark, so about half of what the DJI ones are. But I'm quite sure that you can do a lot more with the FPV racing style goggles, whereas the DJI ones are probably good for the DJI birds, and that's it.
Well, you could use them like VR glass, VR. You watch movies and all that kind of stuff, and do VR stuff with them. The reason I don't like them, and it's the stupidest reason, but for me it's a good reason, is they're huge. They would take up half of one of my boxes to travel around with.
Yeah, they would not be easy.
Where like a little one of those little things that the FPV guys use. That's a little more, takes up a lot less space. I mean, I'm sure the quality is not going to be the same, but at the same point, I mean, if something like that would work, that would be better.
Okay, thanks for that, Carlos. That's good to know. I definitely would like to get it, but yeah, I can see that they would be certainly quite constrictive to to transport on a motorcycle, mate. That's for sure. And they're big on your head. They're big on your head. There's no getting away from it. But I got a big head.
I have a huge head.
That's it. Well, guys, it is now 1:10, and I started off at 10 a.m. my time, of course. So I've been going 3 hours, and I'm getting towards the end of the month. I've got to watch my data usage. It'll reset in another 4 or 5 days. I'm going to leave it there. I need to try and fly a little bit later on this afternoon too, which is why I'm charging batteries. I need to sort out this issue with the camera on the Inspire. So thanks everybody who joined me. I'm going to call the stream now and go off and do that, and then chip away a bit more at this IT work. I'm not going to be doing full days at it, but I'm just going to do a bit here, a bit there, and knock it off. And I've got to pick up the kids from school in another hour too. So they have time to call it quits, everybody. Thanks very much for joining us, Dennis, and everybody in the chat.
Bye.
Gary and Nat. All right, mate. I will attempt to get on tomorrow morning my time and say hello to you and Sonia and Tom and all the others who managed to stay up to talk to Australians. And take care.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.